Hi, everybody. I am just trying this out. I'm trying a new platform. This is called StreamYard, and some friends of mine have been trying it out. And this should let me. It's a third party that lets you, invite people into the chat, and um, you can share pictures and streams and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so just giving this a shot, see what you guys think. Let me know if anybody's out there. Um, see what we got going on. Um, okay, so I invited some people in. We'll see what happens. This is just Sunday, just messing around. If people show up, then that's great. If not, that's fine too. Um, let's see. Yeah, looks like a Sunday. Looks like don't got a whole lot of people watching. That's okay. Um, hmm. So yeah, put any questions, comments in the chat. I'm just gonna start talking and see what happens. Um, like I said, I invited some people. I'm testing out this stuff. So this is like the free version. So I can, add banners and things like that. And if any comments show up, I can highlight those comments, and eventually this logo right here. If I upgrade, I can put my logo and do some stuff. So I am just trying this out, letting you know. I am hard at work on my next video. So, and I probably won't tell anybody what that's about. Um, but I am working on a new video, and I will have a trailer out soon. Probably, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even know what day it is anymore. So it's Sunday the 20th. I would say next week I'll put the trailer out, maybe that 1st of October ish. So you'll get a teaser or a trailer or something. It's not going to be as elaborate as the 3 days in Twin Peaks video. That one I put out a little teaser trailer, and then I put out a like a sneak peek, I call it. So it's like you got like a full 2 minutes of the video before I put the video out. So yeah, so maybe my next video is should be pretty good. It's coming along real good. And I will put out a teaser trailer. Probably just do like a little teaser trailer. I don't think I'll put out a whole segment of it, but look for that next week. If you're that'll come out on this channel. So obviously subscribe if you're not. Shish Kebab says hi. How's it going? I got 6 whole people watching. This is awesome. So usually when I go live, I like put it out on Twitter and I'll promote it and I'll talk about it. And oh, cool! Looks like I got somebody. So I'm gonna have a special guest in about 10 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this out on Twitter, and cool. So yeah, I got a special guest coming on in about 10 minutes, and live now. Coming on in a bit. So, how's everybody doing? Leave me some comments. Leave me some questions. Again, I'm just playing around with this thing because you can there's chats, and you can highlight chats so you can do this kind of stuff. And I'm hoping to see, this is the kind of stuff. This is the reason I'm playing around with this, because so on the StreamYard thing, I can see, okay, there we got some pop up. There seems to be a lag. So you get comments, a YouTube stream, but they'll pop up here. So okay, cool. We got some Twin Peaks stuff coming in. Will says this is cool. So you can like highlight and pop up, and that's a sweet. So Will said, I've been thinking about being Formica table. Oval burned out of it, and I've the belief that the origin of the stone inlet of the ring. I know it's Frost says it's jade, and then he says, but Lynch was the sole writer and director of Fire Walk with Me, so I think that might have been his take as well. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, I'll be honest. When I wrote my first episode on The Ring, I was heavily focused on the Frost books because that has all the like appearances and stuff, and I was more concerned about the timeline. And I had heard that when I was younger, but also when I was younger, I only had Fire Walk with Me on tape, right? So like I had the non-widescreen, like cropped version, you know, and you see that close up of the Formica table, and there's all the static and stuff. And like, I always just thought the table, if you guys know Formica tables, like they get a scratch or something, they'll start peeling. So I always just thought it was just some old crummy, because the whole room is all the tattered curtains and it's all messy. And so I just kind of thought that was the Formica table was just cracked and peeling and stuff. And when I was young, I never thought about that. And then I heard about that a lot, or mentioned, I think on a Reddit thread once, maybe when The Return was going on. I don't really remember. But when I put my video together, I didn't have anything like concrete. Like no one official had ever like really brought that up. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna like stick with what we know from the books and the show and try not to theorize too much. But yeah, now I've Twin Perfect brings that up. There's a bunch of Reddit posts that bring that up. And it's true that if you look closely, there's like a little circle kind of cut out of the Formica table. When you see the arm is his hands, and he's saying this is a Formica table, and he's kind of rubbing it, and it's around this hole. And yeah, no, I totally think definitely a theory, especially since in the Red Room there is a table as well. And even in The Return, it seems like the rings, like its home is the table, right? So like every time it goes to the Red Room, they bring it back, and Mike sets it back on the table. And the arm and Fire Walk with Me and the missing pieces, it's always on the table. So maybe that table is kind of like a mirror or a symbiotic of the Formica table. So yeah, so I think that's cool. That's a cool theory. And now that I've gone back and watched it a few times, and then thinking more about the table, and then the Red Room has a table and it kind of lives there, it seems like. So I'm totally into that idea. I mean, I still don't think the physical ring in the physical world that Teresa Banks has and Chet Desmond has, like that we actually see, like that's not Formica. Like it might have originated as a piece of a Formica table in kind of another world, but it is a green jade stone, like for sure. But the idea that it's this mystical thing that came from the Formica table, and the green stone is actually a piece of the Formica table, like I'm on board with that theory. That's a good theory. The only thing I would say, Will, is you said, but Lynch was the sole writer and director of Fire Walk with Me. So I think that may have been his take as well. This is true, except he's not the sole. David Lynch wrote Fire Walk with Me with Robert Ingalls, Bob Ingalls. So Robert Ingalls was a writer, maybe producer, associate producer, but he was a writer on the main show. And when Twin Peaks fell apart and Mark Frost went off to do some other stuff, and David Lynch is like, I'm going to make a Twin Peaks movie and I want Bob to help me write it. So he and Bob Ingalls wrote Fire Walk with Me. And I've actually been going through a lot of interviews. There's tons of good interviews with Bob Ingalls out there about the, let me take these off for a second because I got no one to talk to, so I don't need to have them on. But Bob Ingalls, there's a lot of great interviews with Robert Ingalls talking about the development of the ideas of all of that stuff. And he talks about the Formica table. He talks about, you know, Bob and the Arm and Mike were supposed to be all from other like another planet, a planet of cream corn, and Garmin Bozia was the name of the planet. And so anyway, Lynch didn't write it all by himself. Bob Ingalls co-wrote it, and a lot of that stuff just came from spitballing. So what we think of Garmin Bozia and all that stuff, like that all started a different thing. So I got my special guest joining me. This is Stephen Miller, also known as Sam Howsett on Twitter, also known as Twin Peaks Blog. And so I am welcome, Stephen. I'm trying out StreamYard. You know, this platform, it's like a third party that lets you. I've never I've never been able to have people on my chat before because like YouTube is only like a one-way thing, and you got to go third party to have people. So welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I am I'm sitting down the street from the Four Aces movie set that's located near Palmdale, California. I've spent most of the day going to a variety of different locations throughout Palmdale. And it's raining ash out here because of the fires.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's and the sun is like this. There's like this haze that kind of, I don't know if you can see. It's just this kind of like hazy skies, so forth. But like literally, like just down the way is Four Aces, and that's where they shot the scene where Mr. C kills Daria early in the series of season 3. They've shot a ton of other stuff there because it's a movie set, so there's probably a variety of other things that were shot there, but it's been good. I'm tired.
That's awesome.
All day.
Yeah, so you're an East Coast guy, and you're out on the West Coast. And was this kind of like, cool, I got a couple of days off, I'm just going to go do this, or is this work related? You're going to be working out there this week or something, or?
Yeah, so my birthday was last week.
That's right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. My wife Katie and I went out to Palm Springs and then to Joshua Tree National Park, and then today she approved my going out to get to get pictures.
Oh,
fortunately, yeah, it's. I'm like on the cusp of reception, I think, out this way.
That's cool.
But
hey, so I did see those Joshua Tree pictures. I've never been. I've been to that area, but I've never been out there. But do you? Oh, so the motel, meaning it's not functional. It's just a set.
It's just a set.
You can just drive up to it.
Well, there were people working, so I didn't drive up to it. But yeah, they use it as a set, and it's literally on the corner of a road. I mean, like you can just—it's like on the corner of an intersection out here in the desert. Palmdale, parts of Palmdale, and so forth are probably about 12 miles away. I went to try to get a photo of the hotel or motel that Richard wakes up in part 18, and that's all now locked down, and I couldn't tell if it's like a I don't know. It seemed like a shelter of some sort. It's a Night's Inn, but it didn't. There was security all around it. It was really strange. Definitely not what you see on Google Maps. So that has changed. And I actually went to visit then the 119 house in the whole Rancho Rosa Estates. And that house has been repainted. They put down new yard, like grass in the yard. Just looks completely different compared to the show. But the show was, of course, shot in 2016. So things do change between now and then.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I always kind of forget this with part 18. So Cooper and Diane go to a motel that's where, and then they wake up in a motel that's where.
Yeah. So they go to a motel that's in Pear Blossom, which is probably about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on traffic, from the hotel that Cooper wakes up in, which is off of Division Street in like in Palmdale. So it's the Pear Blossom Motel is where they go. It too is like non-functioning motel. It's a movie set. You can book it for filming. It too was completely closed off, chain link fence up, so you really couldn't get in to see the room and such. But yeah, the two completely different places that they shot. They shot the interior stuff at the Pear Blossom as well. But then when Richard leaves the motel the next morning to get into his car, then he drives to find Enid Judy's. That is at the Night's Inn. And that one, like I said, it was like, well, it looks like I'm not getting into that today. I did start my morning out with the car crash scene, though, from part 3, where Mr. C flips the
Yeah.
car. So what's really strange is all these locations I've been looking for them since the show was on, most recent season in particular, and I've spent so much time on Google Street View, and then to see these places, like I feel like I've already driven these places because everything just looks so realistic. But it's neat to stand in the spots because you really do feel a sense of like what it took for the crew to put something together like that.
Yeah. I think it's the Z to A box set. What, or it might have been the original one. I can't remember, but the behind the scenes of them filming that car flip is pretty rad.
I mean, Mark Norby, I think, was the driver for that. He did a ton of other stunts. And yeah, I mean, wild how, and it's literally on the side of a hill, and they just like embedded tracks, it looks like, and they flip the car. And they also shot some of the like Mr. C driving in, like how it became very shaky, and he was like going to throw up. They shot some of that along that same stretch of road, down a little bit further. I did try to go to the 430 mile spot where the the utility wires and so forth, but because of the fires, part of the road was blocked off, so couldn't get up to that. Which means I'll have to come back. That's it.
Yeah. And I saw on Twitter too that you did you also hit up the former gazebo park?
Yeah. That gazebo burned in November 2018. It's
28
on
yeah.
Yeah. It was the Woolsey fire.
Woolsey fire, yeah.
Clearly California just has quite challenges with these fires, but that one, again, Google Street View and Bing Maps only has so much. Only they're up to a certain date, and then you can't see beyond that. I was looking to try to find where they're going to rebuild it. Is it completely gone? And sad to report that, yeah, it's completely removed now. I also think that there may have been a couple of other houses. I know that they had the Log Lady's house, not the exterior, but the interior scenes, as Harold Smith's house. The exterior of that, those were also up in that area in Agora Hills. I'm worried that some of them may have burned. I got to go back and reconfirm something on a map. but I know that there were several houses that were impacted during that fire, along with unfortunately, the gazebo. The Timber Falls Motel, which is the Malibu Lake Mountain Club. It's like a convention facility. You can have your wedding there. That is that's still standing, so they definitely have that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat to go around and see these places. It's funny to I mean, they really are, like, there's certain scenes that they just all shot kind of all together, like they kept going back to a certain area. This trip, I finally made it out to Wally's Hideout, which is the old Santa Susana Cantina. It too is closed. I don't know if it's gonna reopen or not. It's definitely looked pretty vacant. And then I made it down to the old place, which is the interiors of the book house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that it was still operational, though that Woolsey fire destroyed a bridge that was right next door to it. And they're still working on repairing that bridge. So it's like a 1-lane road down that way. But the old place looked pretty packed. So I didn't stop because there was just too many people. Still trying to battle all this with like wearing a mask and and socially distance and such. Being out in the desert though, there's literally no one out here. From where I am.
That's pretty awesome. So there's a comment here. Brandon says, "I need that mask." I can't remember where you got that.
Yeah, this one here. Actually, a good friend of mine, was my best friends. His wife made it for me because they know that I'm obsessed with this damn show. So, but there are some masks that are similar. I did a roundup article on Twin Peaks blog about just a variety of different masks, and there are some that are out there on Etsy. I did order the ones from Showtime. They have like the chevron floor pattern one and one with the owl cave symbol. I ordered those, and then there's just a whole host of other ones in Society 6, T Public. I mean, a variety of different ones that are out there. This one's one of those tie masks. It's pretty comfortable though. I wear it when I'm wearing my matching, pocket tee from Habit skates.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody. Once again, Steven's from twinpeaksblog.com. So he's got a running list of everybody that's got Twin Peaks face masks. So if you want a Twin Peaks face mask, go to twinpeaksblog.com and check out his list of face masks. So it's funny. So you're like social distancing and I'm out in the desert. I saw this great tweet. I don't know if you're a fan of the movie, but The Last Temptation of Christ, Scorsese's Last Temptation. Okay, so it's like when the pandemic started. I can't remember who tweeted this. It was hilarious. It was like some guy was like, they said got a social distance, and I'm like, and then it's a picture of Jesus in the desert meditating like the fire, and he's like basically like, you don't need to tell me. All you had to say was social distance, and I'm already there.
Yeah, it's not only that's a great film. Not only it's a great film. I remember the controversy around that. People were up in arms. Peter Gabriel's soundtrack to that is phenomenal. I mean, like, and it's crazy to think it's the same Peter Gabriel that does other music. I mean, his soundtrack to that it's one of my favorites. It's I actually just heard it. I just was listening to it the other day.
Man,
yeah, great film.
It's yeah, that sound. I mean, even if you don't like the movie, that soundtrack stands on its own as, I would even say it's the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest like film scores of all time. Yeah. They basically, so story goes, Scorsese was a big Peter Gabriel fan, and he was listening to his live album, which would have been like mid 80s, put out the Plays live album. So of course Scorsese's always using the Stones, and like he's like got a great ear for music, and he was like listening to Peter Gabriel, and Gabriel at the time or was getting ready to, because he was toying with kind of like some world music, some of that percussion stuff, percussive, world music and stuff. And Scorsese's like, hey, I'm trying to create this, kind of, he wanted it to be of all So it's kind of like Eastern and kind of Oriental and kind of Arabic and kind of, but there's still some kind of standard, feeling, whatever. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't heard it, it's called Passion. It's as a Peter Gabriel album, an instrumental album called Passion, and it's the soundtrack to Last Temptation of Christ, and it's amazing. It's kind of funny how like that was so controversial at the time, and now people be like, okay, like I mean, it was a big deal. Like Scorsese was like they were, the religious right was seriously upset. I mean, but hey, like, sorry, I know we're supposed to be talking about Twin Peaks, but like, it cracks me up. I'll go to I'll turn on a football game or something, or you see on the news, and like growing up in the 80s, like Ozzy Osbourne was like Public Enemy #1, and he's a Satanist, and if you listen to his music, you're going to hell, and all this stuff. And now all these people are at football games singing like Crazy Train, you know, and it's just like, and Martin Scorsese's like national treasure, you know, as he should be.
Yeah. It's funny how the perception or how perspective changes, you know, with time. It's funny, you know, you talk about being up in arms. So yesterday while I'm out, you know, my parents text me and they said, yeah, we just watched Fire Walk with Me. And I'm like, what possessed you to do that? And my mother was like, well, we wanted to see what you've been obsessed with. And I'm like, why did you start with Fire Walk with Me? So yeah, it was needless to say, one of the more surreal texts I think I've received. But you know, it's funny how people's, you know, views of a film, in particular that one, you know, was so panned and so you know, put down when originally released, and now with time, I think it's again one of Lynch's finest. It's definitely well done.
Yeah, that's been the kind of the wildest thing for me is, I mean, I guess like The Return did its job, but like since the Blu-ray box set in 2014 when it was remastered in HD and the missing pieces, I think a lot of people, me included, kind of like deep breath, revisited all of that. And it was just like, I mean, I remember watching it when the Blu-ray came out and just, I was like, I can't believe I'm watching the same film. I mean, I probably hadn't seen it in 5-10 years or something, but I'm just like, man, this is heavy and intense and visually crazy. It's like, man, this is just awesome. And I think that finally, like, it's definitely got its, and then Criterion put it out, of course. So like you've got it's, but did you get into it? What did they, I mean, do they know anything about the show, or?
Yeah, they know a little bit about the show. You know, I mean, I used to hold a marathon at their home for about 4 years. We ran the entire series, you know, I mean, so they've known about it, but no, my father said he was going to call the VA to see if they had any psychiatrist to see me because he thought it was a little bit too much. My mother thought, well, she was on drugs and she brought all the trouble on herself. End of story. And I'm like, well, that's one way to put it, you know, but again, they're in their 70s. I don't know why they started with Fire Walk with Me. I honestly have no idea why they, out of the blue one day, other than they're quarantining at home and not going anyplace. So clearly not their, not their son's obsession that I've had. And that film is really just, it's definitely grown on me, I think, over the years. I liken it to other favorite films, Vertigo, Blade Runner, other stuff that just, you know, I've really become quite obsessed with. And it's just something about it. I love the first 30 minutes of Fire Walk with Me. I can't get enough of it. The musical score, just everything about it is really well done.
I agree that it took me, when I first started watching it, I mean, it's so weird because I feel bad saying it now because it's such a central part of the story, like basically Laura's story. Like it's her movie, it's her story, and it really grounds the whole thing, right? But when I was younger, like I would just watch that first 40 minutes or whatever. Because to me that was like, even though that was a prequel, like that was like new, like that felt new because it's like Deer Meadow and it's like the evil Twin Peaks or however you want to look at it. Plus, like I'm like a Bowie freak, and I've been a Bowie freak for like since I was like 15. So it's like David Bowie, and I was into Chris Isaac too. I loved him too.
Yeah.
I still do. So like you got these two cool rock and roll guys, and like David Lynch is back as Gordon Cole, and he's loud and screaming, and I love that first 40 minutes. Sometimes I would just watch that and then stop it because it was like I kind of know the Laura story.
Yeah.
But
No,
now it's like,
well, I mean, Chris Isaac's performance was just great, and I'll tell you, if you want to see a great, I don't know if you ever seen him live. I've seen him live 3 times and love him. He is what a performer, from that. I always wish I would have seen Bowie live. When I have a time machine,
Oh yeah.
But no, it was that I just something about it, and then diving deeper into the how the production and how it was put together and where they shot it and various things like that, you really you start to uncover a lot more just about the choice of lighting and framing, and it just it really is a great film. It's probably my favorite Lynch film. Second would be probably The Straight Story. Again, another phenomenal Lynch film. Really out of the blue, I think, with that one.
I saw that. I've seen that a couple times, but it's been a long time. I need to see it again. I remember just being like, my big hang up when I first came out was because I was probably, I don't know, 19 or 20, and I'm like really into like horror, like sci-fi and horror, and like something with a kind of an edge to it. And you used to go to the video store, and it's like, am I going to rent Event Horizon or this G-rated Disney movie? So it was just kind of like, all right, well, but I eventually, my buddy saw it, and he's like, dude, it is a great movie. Like you'll laugh, you'll cry, like seriously, great movie. Just watch it. So I finally watched it, and I was like, it's a wonderful, heartwarming. Yeah. It's a great film. And 10 minutes into it, I wasn't even hesitant. I was like all in. I'm like, this is really great. And,
but it has some great Lynch touches to it as well. Just like between pacing, between just some of the, I don't know, there's certain elements that he loves to include, and you can definitely pick up on it. One of my dreams would be to go and find the film locations for that somewhere in Iowa. I know they're there, but haven't quite made it out that way yet.
That would be cool. Yeah, I can't believe so obviously I've been to the Snoqualmie area, but I haven't seen any of the California stuff. I haven't been out there. I've been to California a few times, but I haven't. That was before I was. I just didn't even think about it back then to go do that stuff, because in your mind, because I get comments. The video you helped me on, my tour video, I get comments all the time like, why didn't you go to Glastonbury Grove? Why did you do that? I'm like, because it's in California. Because it's not there.
Exactly.
Because people,
well, and I think that's the magic. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just people don't think about it, and I didn't think about it. Even that, 95% of everything in the original series is in California. But it's because the pilot, Fire Walk with Me, and the Return, the Twin Peaks stuff is all shot in the Snoqualmie area. It's kind of like Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is considered like the greatest New York movie ever, and it is. And there's a lot of stuff shot in New York, but there's a lot of stuff that 75% of Ghostbusters is not shot in New York. But the shot they use, the exteriors, the this, the that, the whole the theme, the feel of it, all of that stuff like makes it a film, right? Twin Peaks is kind of the same. It's like, most of this was on sets and outdoor locations in California, but so it's cool that you're tracking all this stuff down. And then with the Return, you got Vegas and all this other stuff too. So
yeah, it's interesting, the California locations. I think because of so many establishing shots were probably taken from season 1 and 2 from the Northwest. Then you just intersperse that, and so people's memories go back to this. But from a practicality perspective, it made way more sense to have everybody here in Southern California, and shooting all this. I'd say even for season 3, the same kind of thing, where again, so much of it. Yes, there was a big piece of it that was shot in the Pacific Northwest, but that was mostly in September and October. And then they came down here in Southern California, November through then April, basically, and shot the remainder of mostly everything here. I do think that there is some establishing shots that were probably picked up from a second unit, or Jason S., who did some of those short films. I think they used some of his footage, just based on some of those behind the scenes clips. I've been trying to dissect those and look for those similar locations. Like there's a scene of him shooting the Odessa, Texas sign in one of the short films. Well, it would only make sense that if he was there, they wouldn't have sent a crew. They would just have sent him, and then they would have just used whatever footage they had of that. If not that, then I think the practicality of using stock footage has also been something that, obviously existed back in season 1, season 2. Stock footage was around, but definitely it's a lot more easy to find with a Google search, or a website search on stuff today. So,
yeah, the stuff you do is just fascinating.
It's fun.
It's wild. Oh, so I caught the bug. I caught the bug the other day. So I messaged Steven.
Yeah.
People watching, I messaged Steven yesterday, I think, and so I was editing my next project, and I was going through the missing pieces looking for some clips, and I found this clip of Laura in her bedroom, which again, most of Fire Walk with Me, the Palmer house, was shot at the actual Palmer house in Everett, Washington, but but Laura's bedroom, and probably the parents' bedroom as well, was a set or a sound stage. So Laura's actual bedroom, for people that don't know, in Everett, Washington, there is no little alcove where her secret diary cabinet was. So basically all of the in Laura's bedroom scenes were an actual set, which do you know where that was shot? Seattle, or was that in California too? Or
that was in California. It was at City Studios, Occidental Studios. It's where they shot most of season 1, season 2 sets, that were all there. But supposedly they built a 2-floor set for that particular bedroom. That was what Cheryl Lee had relayed during one of the fan festivals several years ago. That way they could get, obviously certain shots of, the stairwells or various things like that. But
right, because there's a couple shots that look out of her. She turns around and looks out the door, and like Leland's standing in the doorway, and you can actually see a staircase a little bit going down. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But obviously the staircase is still there at the actual Everett house, but
yes, right.
Yeah, it's like they recreated it. It's from what I could gather. Just even also from a size perspective, the one in Everett, the bedroom where Laura's bedroom is small, and the way the placement of the bed was with the dresser, the nightstand, and the door, it would have been a little cozy without any kind of alcove or anything like that. So those couple of shots in the original pilot that are actually in Laura's bedroom. Yeah.
It's like hard to keep track of all this crap, but you can tell that, like, that pan shot with Bob crouching behind the bed, like you can tell that's just them standing right at the door, right? And then the other shot is Leland and Hawk. Hawk finds the diary, and we're going to take this, and Leland says you have to take that. So the shot with Leland's on the bed and Hawk's going through her room, like that had to have been them backed up against the far corner as possible, because that room is not big. That room is like,
it's cozy.
That room is, it's like, it's about everything you can see behind me. It's not very big.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, I don't know why I just got bit by this bug. I was editing footage, and I paused it on this one frame, and it's Laura. I think she's pulling out her diary. It's from the Missing Pieces.
Mhm.
In Fire Walk with Me, it's when she pulls out the little tube and does some coke that's in the diary. But the Missing Piece is a little longer. But anyway, there's a book sitting on her desk, and it has this like geographical pattern on it. I was just like, oh, that's cool. And then I freeze framed it. I was like, can I read that? Can I read it? Like, can I see what title is? Because sometimes people just throw books there to have books. Sometimes they actually mean something. Sarah Palmer is reading How to Speak German in bed once, like when she passes out because drinking the milk, but she's got a book, and I was like, it's How to Speak German. Anyway, there's this book, Laura's book. I just was like, I wonder if I could read that. Next thing I know, it's an hour later, and I've got all this stuff. And I was like, I figured out, like, so it's this book, but you can't see the cover because there's a postcard or something sitting on top of it, and it's a girl and a moon, and it's on top of this, like, it looks like a textbook or some kind of technical book. And yeah, it's like an hour later, and I'm like, I found out what the image was. It was probably like a greeting card. I found out the name and the title and the year and the edition of the book. It's like a motor skills learning book. So I came up with this whole theory of how it's supposed to be Johnny Horn, and it's like a thank you card from the Horns for tutoring Johnny, and it's a tutoring book because it's a motor skills learning book. And I was like, okay, well, what should I do with this? I was like, I will send this. If there's one dude that can use this, if he hasn't figured this out already, I will send this to Steven. And so anyway, maybe someday if you do Laura's desk intense breakdown.
Well, I mean, the goal is to find every film location and to identify as many props as we can. Vinny has been writing for the blog. He's a big prop collector.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it's just one of those, I don't know, it's an adventure. I look at it like I feel like Indiana Jones, like trying to find the ark, and if I can find it, if I can identify it, then it's just this sense of accomplishment, a little thrill. But you're right, it's like suddenly you start and you go down this rabbit hole, and you just keep going, and you trying to find this and trying to find that, and I probably have a variety of different ones I'm working on, that I'd like to find, but I haven't found an exact match, or I haven't found as much detail as I would have liked. Same with the locations. I have general ideas of like, well, I think this is where they may have shot this, but I haven't found an actual reference, for it. And the challenge is time passes, 30 plus years now. Some of these locations are either gone or they've changed. When it comes to finding props, you have to hope that someone put something on an online auction site or has some other reference image about it. So it's kind of like looking for aliens. You hope you aim the telescope at the right area, and you hope can see something. But give it a couple of months, and there's been times where I've sat on something for a year. I think the loading dock was the one that was most recent, where James and Freddie have the conversation where he's crushing the walnuts and such. That took me about a year to figure out where exactly that was located. But I had started looking for it and kind of did a little bit and gave up and then came back to it. So I figure, like Dr. Jacoby said, right? This will be my obsession for probably the rest of my life. from that. Yeah. So, but it's fun. I mean, honestly, if someone else can appreciate it like you or a handful of other folks out there like it, then great. I'm glad to share like that.
Well, it's really invaluable, especially in this film or this series, because there's so much, everything's open-ended kind of, or it's subjective, and everyone's looking because of the mysterious nature of it. Everybody's looking for those little clues that will kind of help form the image in their mind, So it's just the idea of, I always talk about your Philadelphia office, because it's the Bowie thing, and that's my favorite scene. And I think that might have been one of the first ones I read of your first blog post, and I was like, oh crap. So like the Eisenhower thing. So like there's the American flag and there's the Eisenhower image, and the Eisenhower thing comes back up again. Like I think it's the FBI or the police station in the Returns got some similar. Like the girl walks through with the red shoes, and it's the wood paneling and the electrical outlet and the American flag. It's kind of reminiscent of the Philadelphia offices. And then we had a comment before you jumped on. People were talking about the theory that the ring is a piece of the Formica table. And then I went I went on this rant about how it's Bob Engels and David Lynch. Like there's good interviews out there with Bob Engels, like talking about how they spitballed stuff and how Garmin Bozea was the name of the planet. It was a cream corn planet named Garmin Bozea, and that's where Bob and the arm were from. Oh, but anyway, the Eisenhower thing, the moment the origin story of these creatures was supposed to go back to Eisenhower's inauguration, and I Love Lucy is playing on TV, and some cataclysmic event happens, and there's these creatures under the Formica table, and they come into the world, and that's how Bob and them came into the world. So like even the origins of the atomic bomb scene are sort of reminiscent of that. But anyway, the Eisenhower thing, like that's, if you read your blog post, you break down like which image of Eisenhower it is and what wall it's on. And, so it's just, it's fun to like, I always equate it to like people that, I'm not a gamer, but people that, people play like Warcraft and things that like these games have no end. And it doesn't matter because it's about me. Like I want to collect all the little green crystals and I want to get the big sword and I want to fight this bad guy. And that's how Twin Peaks is for me. It's like, I want to find out why is it Eisenhower? Why is Eisenhower on this wall? Right. Like, well,
and it's clearly there's so much about 1950s. I mean, there's so much influence with that, and so many of the props, 1950s, 1960s, 1940s. There's a flag picture called Old Glory, and that's in the Philadelphia office in Firewalk with Me. That actually, my favorite game now is to find which props have been recycled or make another appearance in season 3. And that Old Glory actually also appears in Gordon Cole's office in season 3. It also appears in Truman's office, Frank Truman, that is, in season 3. My gut says that it could have been an image that was important to Lynch. I mean, a lot of times these things have a meaning because the artist likes them, in some way. So if it was something that was special to him, I mean, I know I talked like the, I think it was the 1941 coupe, the one that was in Mulholland Drive, but then it's also in season 3. It's the car where Adam Kesher and Camilla are sitting and so forth. I mean, that was a very important car to Lynch. He mentions it in a book. So of course he's going to incorporate these kind of signatures that are things that, he likes within it. But you know what? I understand him because I would probably do the same thing. There's certain, when I wrote articles for a certain major hospitality corporation, I would add things that I thought were important or take pictures that I thought were interesting, that were important to me. So I could see where, again, that flag picture, he had it in the set in Firewalk with Me, and then he makes its way over to season 3 just because it's something he likes.
Yeah.
I like your analogy though, that it is like, it's what is important to you. And that's so much, the Ben and Brian from Twin Peaks Unwrapped and I were discussing that very thing about how it's, it's their version of Twin Peaks. It's what they've experienced through the book they have, the podcast, what you have experienced, what I experienced probably are just different. I mean, we might have some similarities. There's some interesting, obviously intersections there, but how you grew to like the series and how you grew to like the music or whatever it might be is probably going to be different than how I did. But yet we can share that because it's, again, it's just, that's the nice part about this community is you can have that even, playing field because it all comes down to Lynch and Frost vision for what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, to just compliment the amount of work. I mean, do you think, like, I've been meaning to ask you this too, like I like lots of movies. I assume you do too. I like lots of, I like books and movies and bands, and like I'm way into music and all this stuff. But but like, I don't know. I'm a big Cronenberg fan, for example. But I would not spend time researching props and locations from scanners. Like, I don't care at all. But with Twin Peaks, I'm like, oh, that's the little Elvis. That they found it. It's the little Elvis. Holy crap. Like, what, like, it's like the most fascinating thing. But like,
I don't know.
Scanners,
I don't know why
Alien, Jaws. Like, you can go to Martha's Vineyard, you can see where they shot Jaws, but like, I don't care at all. But with Twin Peaks, it's like, this is the coolest thing. I don't know why.
It is interesting. I'm right there with you. I think probably the only other show that probably I've ever been really about as much interested in is The Prisoner, which was 1967, very short-lived BBC series. Have not been to Portmeirion in Wales. Still love to go. I know they shot a lot. Location stuff there, but then they also shot stuff on a set. I've always dreamed of dissecting that a little bit further, but there's been other sites out there doing that. But no, I love films. I just picked up Wim Wenders' Until the End of the World, which is his 5-hour epic magnum opus of a film. And I'd love to maybe go visit some of those places that, that were in the film, but probably not to the same degree as like what I'm doing, here in California, sitting in the desert. Taking a break from location hunting. So there is just something about it that draws people to it. And I don't know what it is specifically, because you're not alone. I mean, again, there's other folks out there that are the same thing, that love to know every little tidbit in detail. I mean, I guess in some aspects, there's other fandoms out there that have that sort of thing. I mean, I think of one, Star Wars in particular, Star Trek, from that, but Twin Peaks, I don't know, just seemed very unique. You're right. I love your idea though, that it is just about collecting little things, and this is what I want to find, and this is what I want to do. There's there's definitely holy grails. Is there a holy grail thing that you'd love to find? I know I have several.
For Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Or just man. No, not really. I want to. I don't think this will ever happen. I would love to. I mentioned this in another video. I have the Secret History novel, and I've been taking that around to conventions and little things. So I'm collecting autographs of the cast in the book next to where they're mentioned in the book. Cool. So I would love to get. Like, here's the weird thing. I'd like to get David Lynch's autograph. Yeah. But I don't know how that would happen. And he's one of those guys that I love and respect so much that I don't know what I would say to him that hasn't been said a million times. Exactly. Peter Gabriel's a great example. I am a huge Peter Gabriel fan. I love him, love him. But like, if I met him, I'd be like, hey, you're real good. Hey, remember
exactly?
You remember remember that soundtrack you did for the Scorsese movie? Man, that was awesome. Like, what would you say, right? So, but I don't know. Like, for me, it's all these little nuggets of information. So it's like, it's when you post a blog about, and you find some information about a prop, and I read it and it goes into my brain, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, now I understand this. And like, that's like what gets me excited. Or when the Twin Peaks Unwrapped guys, they just released an interview with Tim Hunter.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember if there's anything like specific in there that like blew my mind, but like, it was a really good, solid interview about being on the other side of the camera, working on that show, someone in authority that had to make decisions. And it was like, yeah, cool. Like, this is cool. I think that I mean, if it was a prop that I would like to own, would be like something Bowie related, like Bowie's
Yeah.
shoes, his
Yeah.
shoes or his
Red
suit
shoes.
or something like that, or that tacky Hawaiian shirt.
That would be the best.
You know,
I'd love to find that. I'd love to find that one. That's definitely on my list. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you have a greater appreciation, I think, for something. I mean, for me, it was always like, well, if these are places, right? That exist. But I wanted, like, when writing articles, and so I wanted to give more of a history or more of a insight and that kind of thing. Similar to the video you produced, through the 3 days in Twin Peaks. Just the whole idea of like these are physical spaces that people live and work every day, and to them it probably doesn't mean anything, but understanding the history of it just gives you a different perspective, I think, and a different appreciation for whatever it is related to to the content in the show. Yeah, it's for me, my holy grail right now in props is speaking of Firewalk with me, is that angel picture.
the picture, yeah.
Picture. I can't. I'm this close to finding it. I know it's there. It's either some type of religious print from the 30s, 40s, perhaps. I found a guy on Flickr in Germany who had it listed under a holy card. These holy cards that that people collect and so forth. I wrote him using Google Translate in German and said, "Hey, I've been looking for this. Do you have any other details about it?" And he's like, "No, I had this image from a long time ago." And I'm like, "Well, that doesn't do me much good." But then I found an auction, and somebody had like a print of it, but it was like cut, like the corners were cut of it. So I know it's out there, and I know that there's been 2 examples. I know of finding it, but man, I'd love to have the original of that, to do a high res scan, just so people had it. You know what I mean? Like, so that it was available, and if they wanted to hang it on their wall, then they could do that. Because who knows who the artist is? Who knows when it was produced? But I'd love to find out.
Yeah, that's funny, because when I was looking at the Girl on the Moon postcard, because the angel picture is right above there, and that did cross my mind, because it's kind of the same early 1900s.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the same, obviously, but the postcard, I found that information, like it's a German. It's funny you said German, because it's a German postcard company, and I remember actually, I was thinking, has Steven found this picture? Because there's, like you said, I know there's stuff that you're working on that you haven't posted online.
Yeah.
So I'm always kind of like, well, maybe he knows all about this, he just hasn't put it up yet, or whatever.
Yeah.
But so do you think that they?
Go ahead.
Oh, just do you think that they found this image and then they had to have made a replication of it to erase the angel, right?
Yeah, they had to have, I'm guessing, because I mean, this is what, 1991.
Yeah, this is pre-digital. I mean, this is Terminator 2 era, but like no one was doing that except big.
I can't imagine digital effects. I mean, I'm thinking like there wasn't. I don't remember any credits to a digital, special effects kind of thing. But somehow they must have erased it. So yeah, they had to have made some type of enlargement. I think what's on the wall is actually a larger picture than what it actually is in real life. So they must have photographed it. They must have done something that made that, masking it so that, the angel disappears in some way. And I'd love to know why that one. That had to be found. There had to be some reason that particular image caught the production Lynch's eye, the production design. I don't know what. There had to be some reason, and I'd love to know. One day I find it. That's the thing. You just got to keep going. You just keep going. Like, okay, we're gonna find it one day. One day it'll get better. One day we're gonna find it. One day at a time.
Speaking of that, the angel thing, I've been writing some notes on that whole thing too, and I haven't really pursued it, but I'll do a deep dive on it at some point. But so one, especially with the missing pieces, like, you know how the angel wasn't part of the original script?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
It was
know? And
was
then,
it Phoebe Augustine? Didn't she? She was one that said this seems really dark. You know,
yeah.
it's just
So
I think that's what I remember reading.
I want to know the chronology of if that's
Yeah,
true that she
yeah,
suggested that. So people that are watching in Firewalk with me, the whole angel with the missing pieces, this is a theme. It's
yeah,
not just like on
yeah,
set. It's not like on set at the last minute they were like, "Hey, this sucks. We got no redemption to any of this. Let's
yeah,
let's whip up an angel," because and that's what I always thought. So the idea is that Phoebe Augustine, who plays Ronette Pulaski, I guess the rumor is that she said, "Hey, this is pretty dark," and Laura is not redeemed, or like,
yeah,
is her soul saved at all? Like, what's the deal? Like, so the
yeah,
Lynch came up with this angel thing, or Lynch and Engels did. So I'm trying to figure out what was the chronology, because
yeah.
with the missing pieces, you find out that there's a shot of a church, and you've got Doc Hayward's gives her a little speech about how, hey, I know everything
Oh
sucks,
yeah,
but you someday your angel will show up and you will weep with joy, or something to that effect,
yeah.
right?
And even in the
And then
beginning when she's having the girl talk with Donna and like the angels can't save you, falling faster and
yeah,
faster. So yeah, there's definitely an angel theme within that. You're right.
and the picture, obviously. So
Yeah,
you literally have this picture. So I think that if it's true that Phoebe Augustine said that, and that's what triggered the whole, we got to have some
yeah,
redemption in this story.
yeah,
I mean, because the turnaround on that movie was so fast.
yeah,
I mean, they're basically like, season one ended, he got the green light to do it. They sat down and wrote it, and they were shooting it within like 6 months or something, right?
yeah,
So like, what I want to know is like how fast,
yeah. Did that actually?
basically,
Yeah,
because people believe that that Lynch is on the spot. I mean, which
yeah.
some of it is, but what people don't get is that it's not, you can't just at the last minute say, I need a giant angel effect in here. Because like
Exactly.
you know what I mean? The legend is that he just put that in, but that makes no
Yeah,
sense, because you got the angel picture, you got the deleted
yeah,
scenes, you got all this stuff. So like, that theme was written into the
yeah,
script. So I'd like to know when that suggestion was made, when they decided to do it, how was that executed? I'm super curious how that movie would have played out
yeah,
without it. What,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the original
yeah.
script. So like, kind of like how you go on your like treasure hunts and location
Oh yeah,
stuff. I mean, and I'm making my, like, I don't know, whatever, breakdown videos or whatever, but like, I want to do some like fun re-edits. I've thought about
yeah.
re-editing Firewalk with Me and the missing pieces, like without the angel,
Oh yeah.
like
Seeing
changing,
what it was like. Yeah,
or trying
yeah,
to recut it back to the original script, just for
yeah,
fun. I don't even wouldn't show anybody. I just want to see it for
yeah. Just to
myself,
see it.
like,
No,
yeah.
it's an exercise.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think you hit on something also important. I think within this community, why a lot of the work I'm doing on the blog as well is an archive of sorts. Because as time passes and hearing these stories and understanding the iterations and how they got to be where they are and so forth, um, where does that history go? The one article I'm working on, and I'm still working on it, is the German titles. Everybody knows them. That they've been incorporated, but there was a time when there were no German titles. But like the evolution of that, I've tracked down some information about how they were added or why they were added. But I'm continuing to work on it. But again, without that, as time passes and people move on to other things, they may forget, they may not remember, they may not, I don't know, just having that history, I don't know, it's important to me. So
I
hopefully
I
someone else enjoys it.
no, I agree. It's totally important. And for again, people
Yeah.
watching that don't know, what Steven's talking about is on Netflix and basically on streaming services, and even on Wikipedia or whatever, they and a lot of people know these May the Giant Be With You.
Yes.
Was it Demons? The Orchid's Curse. the titles of the episodes were not original. Like that's not how they were aired. That's not how they like. I had the VHS box set that came out after the show ended, and they didn't have episode titles. And it was the German release of the DVDs. When did that come from?
So I found out a little bit about it. So it's RTL 5, which was a German broadcast station, and there was some great controversy around this too. So there was a German who got the rights to show this in like September of '91. So this is months after season 2 had ended. They were going to start showing then, RTL 5 was going to start showing Twin Peaks. Now, mind you, it was shown on a Friday night, and following it was a game show that was adult themed, then followed by softcore porn. So this is like Friday night, risque kind of thing. But somewhere, I believe within that, when RTL 5 started broadcasting it, they added episode titles to it. Now, I think it was Star, which was the rival network, had this teletext thing where you could on your receiver or whatnot, you could send a text. This is again 91, so figure what you will. But when RTL 5 showed Twin Peaks, they spoiled and ruined it for everybody by saying, hey, if you want to find out who the killer is, text us. And so Star then released who Laura's killer was, and it completely got rid of the took the wind out of the sails of RTL 5 on this. In fact, RTL 5 only showed up the first 20 episodes, and then it was some other broadcast station in Germany then picked up the remaining last of them. So yeah, I just haven't found the person who put the titles in. I'd love them. I'd love to because they're also originally in German, but then they were translated to the United States. So some translations might be a little wonky compared to what they actually mean in Germany. So yeah, that's one of those articles I'm getting to eventually.
Yeah. Well,
I have the German press releases. I'm just trying to translate them slowly but surely. For the article. So we'll get there.
Interesting. Are you using Google Translate?
Pretty much. That's about it.
Yeah.
I am not fluent in German. I'm pretty German, I think, but I'm definitely not fluent in German. So I do know some folks I think that could help translate some of it, but we'll once this period of time is over, then we can get back together, people. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I hate to run, but I'm gonna have to head out before the sun sets here.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for
stopping
by. This is so cool. Yeah,
I'm glad you're able to figure this thing out. This is cool. This is really neat. I've always wondered how to do that sort of thing. So this is awesome. I can't wait to see the video that you're editing. And I'll look for that article about those props you identified here sooner than later. So
awesome. Yeah. As always, appreciate your help. And thanks for stopping by. I'll probably, like I said, I'm just messing around. I may clip this little interview we did. This is fun. I may clip this and put this up too. So awesome.
Sounds good, man.
Safe travels.
All right, stay safe. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was cool, huh? Once again, that's Stephen Miller from twinpeaksblog.com. You gotta check that out. And good stuff, great stuff. And let's see. Cool. So what else is going on? I see Joey's in the chat. That's cool. Hi, Joey. How you doing? I invited you to come on the chat, but you didn't come on the chat, so whatever. I invited a couple more people. Again, I'm just testing this out. So I have an announcement to make, and if you're watching now, you're lucky enough to hear it. But so the plan is I will be interviewing Courtney Stalings, who just wrote Laura's Ghost. which is a book out on Fayette Mafiaville Press, and it's super good. I'm almost done reading it. It's essays and reflections and the history of Laura Palmer through the eyes of women involved in the show, and it's kind of intense, but it's awesome. I'm real excited about it. The book is really, really good. It's better than I could have hoped for, to be honest. My expectations were pretty high, but this has been a great year, great year for Twin Peaks books. Conversations with Mark Frost by David Bushman is amazing, and you guys need to get that book. I've been saying, because David Lynch doesn't discuss this stuff or his work really to any extent. Mark Frost is the best that we're going to get. So, and he doesn't give away too much mystery or whatever, but he talks a lot about the process, and it's super fascinating. And anyway, so another guest.
Hey,
Joey.
What's
all
up?
Right.
Just like
oh, cool. Yeah. Give me one. Tell you what, let me give me 2 seconds. Tell everybody what you're doing, who you are, and what you're doing, and I'll be back in 15 seconds. Hold on.
All right, I'll steer the ship. Hello, everybody. Some of you might know me, some of you may not. My name is Joey Pedras. I've done Twin Peaks videos in the past. I was doing a lot of them when The Return was still on. I still do them every now and then, but that's how I met Take the Ring, and you might have seen me in a couple Obnoxious and Anonymous videos, and I've been around the Twin Peaks sphere for a little bit now. So you might have seen me, but if you want to get to know me, search my name and find my YouTube channel. And there's much Twin Peaks stuff there too, so maybe you'll enjoy it.
All right. Yeah, check out Joey's channel. I assume that's what you said.
Yeah, I just
Cool.
kind of introduced myself. I'm not sure who here knows me or who doesn't.
Yeah, go to his channel. And now that I got this two-way stuff, maybe we can do more chats. So Joey and I talk on the Twitters all the time, and we've been on Cameron with Obnoxious and Anonymous show separately several times. So it's weird. Like, it feels like I'm best friends with Joey, but we've never really done a chat before.
I know.
So-
At this point, it's been a couple of years. We never actually got to talk.
That's true. That's true. So what's you back? You went to Maine, right? You went on a trip.
Yeah, I was in Maine for a couple days. I've been back for about a week. It was
Oh,
fun.
okay. And
Honestly,
I saw.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you went to. I saw on Instagram you did see Stephen King's house, right?
Yeah, I went up to Stephen King's house in Bangor. It was pretty interesting. I had a couple people ask why he doesn't have security and stuff like that, but people were really polite. They just went up to the gate, took pictures. He had his gate like wide open. They were working on something in the back, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I've seen a couple more pictures I might post.
Yeah. My sister is, I like Stephen King. I haven't read a whole lot, read several of his books when I was younger, but I am a fan. My sister is a huge fan. And my parents went on they're retired. They went on a boating excursion. This was before COVID, I don't know, like last year or 2 years ago. But my sister's like, oh, you got to go see Stephen King's house. I mean, you're in Bangor, right? So, basically the same thing. They went there and they sent us some pictures. So like, it's a big brick Gothic house, and it's got gargoyles and right.
Yeah, there's like
and on the gate, there's like owls or gargoyles or something on the
like
gate.
a 3-headed dragon kind of thing too. I have a picture of that somewhere. He actually had this interesting sculpture in his yard too. When I went, I couldn't really make out what it was, but it looked cool. I'm guessing it was all sorts of monsters and stuff.
So I've always wanted to go. My parents met some people just on the street, and they said that he is a super nice guy. He doesn't sign autographs or take pictures, but if he's around and he sees you out there, he will come talk to people.
Oh,
so like basically, like, yeah, like basically he would just like, He'll shoot the shit with you. He won't do because people show up with books and then they'll go sell them on eBay. I guess like his thing is like, hey, I will come talk to you if you're a fan and we can hang out for a little bit, but I don't do the whole thing. And I was like, man, that is cool.
I get that.
So apparently but then right before you went, I read that he is turning that house into a literary museum, and he's going to live somewhere else. And that's going to be like the Stephen King Literary Museum in Maine. So when you said that construction thing, that's probably what they're doing. They're probably adding a wing or changing some stuff to make a big library or something. So anyway, his house is awesome. He's a cool guy. I was super pumped when I saw your picture. Because you told Cameron, you're like, I'm gonna go try to see Stephen King's house. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I didn't have definite plans, and one day we were like, because there's only so much we could do with the virus and stuff. So I asked my friend, I'm like, can we just go to Bangor and like check out Stephen King's house and stuff around there? And he's like, yeah, let's head up. So we went. It was nice. It was a nice day. Everybody we met there was nice. Everybody kind of, kept their space, took their pictures. It's a cool scene. Yeah.
Cool.
Dug it.
How big is Bangor anyway? Huge. It's big. It's big for Maine. It's one of the bigger.
It has its own airport. Like it's Portland Airport is like the big international airport, and you could fly into Bangor too. So it's pretty big. It's pretty big.
Cool. And have you read a lot of Stephen King?
I'm actually not a huge fan of the literature, like the books. I've read some of it, but it's not totally my thing. I like his movie, like the movies made off his work. But.
Yeah. So Bangor is it in it? But like tons of his books are all Maine centric. There's either Maine references or actual references to Bangor. I think. Oh, it is the town of Derry, which
it's definitely based on Bangor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that lumberjack thing. I think that's in Bangor or like a close by. And it when they're like comes to life and it chases the kids with the axe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be part 2. I can't remember.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's there. That's pretty nearby. So I'm pretty sure they filmed some of that up there, possibly. I didn't go check out a lot of locations though. This time, maybe next time.
Are the leaves changing and stuff up there?
They were starting to. When I was driving up, because I drove from New Jersey up, and by the time we hit sort of the top of Connecticut, we started noticing a lot of yellow and red. So yeah,
cool.
they're starting to change over. They're hitting 30-degree nights now. My friend told me so.
Yeah, it's starting to happen.
Ready for winter.
Cool. So whoever's watching, add some comments, talk to Joey, ask us questions. We're going to just play around with this some more. Like you said, you can do these different, kind of like this view. This didn't work with Steven because he was in his car. So he was slightly off. So this view didn't work so well. But we got this Illuminati in the chat. I don't know if you saw that much of me and Steven, but we were talking about.
I watched a good portion of it. Yeah, that was
okay. He said he wanted to see Bowie. He asked me if I'd seen Chris Isaak, which I did see Chris Isaak in 2017. Actually, right before, I think it was the day the Criterion Fire Walk with Me came out. He played in Indianapolis, so I saw him here in Indianapolis, and he's fantastic. He is. He's had the same band for 30 years, and they're awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And he's an interesting performer, and I'm so happy that I got to see it. My wife and I took my wife and myself. I took myself to the show. But he's got like a sequin suit and a guitar that says Chris Isaak, but he's always cracking jokes and so it's kind of like hammy and cheesy, but also self-aware, but also kind of an homage to this older stuff. So he played a Roy Orbison song. He played an Elvis song. He played a Johnny Cash song. So he's like those 50s performers, like back in the day when you'd go see Johnny Cash or I came up in the 90s and, that was, everything's like angst ridden, and if people have to write their own music and they have to really mean it, god damn it, like but like back in the day, like performers were just performers, and you could have half your set be covers,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like a cheesy move. It's like what you did. I mean, like Jimi Hendrix would play Beatles songs, just for like they'll play whatever they feel like. The Who would do the same thing, but like Johnny Elvis would play blues standards and his own stuff and his radio hits and whatever. But anyways, Chris Isaak does the same thing. Like I would say a third of the set was covers, but it was classy. So it was like Orbison and Johnny Cash and Elvis, and I think he might have even played 2 Elvis songs. But then he played all of his stuff that I know real well, all his hits, and still sounds great. Anyway, Chris Isaak's great. Illuminati says she saw Bowie, and he or she saw Bowie by accident in '95 with Nine Inch Nails in a band called Prick. So I saw David Bowie in '97. I wanted to go to, I saw Nine Inch Nails in like January of '95. And about halfway through the year, I heard that they were doing a tour with David Bowie. And that's right around the time that I was getting back into Bowie, or getting into Bowie. I was 14 or 15. So for like the first time, I knew who he was, and Labyrinth and some other videos and things. But I was like buying albums at that point. And I was like, holy crap, Nine Inch Nails and David Bowie, this is going to be huge. Like this is before the internet, or at least where I lived, before the internet. And like, I had also just started going to concerts. And I thought that every show came to Indianapolis, because Indianapolis is the capital and it's this big city. And every tour, Guns N' Roses played here, Metallica played here. I saw Nine Inch Nails here in January. Like, of course, Nine Inch Nails and David Bowie's going to play here. So I just kind of kept waiting for tickets to go on sale, and then they never did, and it never happened. And like they played Chicago, they didn't play Indianapolis. So I like heartbroken that I never got to see that show. But I'm a big fan of Prick, by the way. No one ever talks about Prick. No one remembers Prick.
I don't know Prick.
Prick was a band that Trent Reznor knew, or a friend of his, or a recording engineer. So basically, I can't remember the guy's name, Kevin something. But Trent Reznor knew who this guy was. And when Trent got huge, he started Nothing Records, Nothing record label. He signed Marilyn Manson. He put out an album with Meat Beat Manifesto. For those Chicago industrial heads know who Meat Beat Manifesto is. He put out some albums. Oh, he did Rob Halford from Judas Priest when Rob Halford came out, right around the time that Rob Halford came out of the closet and he wasn't in Judas Priest anymore. He did an album called TWO with John Five, who ended up becoming Marilyn Manson's guitar player, now plays Rob Zombie in his own band. Anyway, more information than anybody wants to know. But the Prick was signed to Nothing. Trent Reznor put out Prick's first album. He was signed to Nothing Records. So when the Bowie approached Nine Inch Nails to join this tour, as the tour was being put together, Trent, I assume, advocated for Prick to be part of the show because he was he had just put out his record. And I was a fan of that record quite a bit. It's a weird record. There's no bass. It's got the weirdest sound ever, but there's some great songs on there. I like it a lot. Do yourself a favor, go check out Prick if you want some. It's kind of this weird, I don't know. It's kind of Peter Murphy, Bauhaus, but meets Nine Inch Nails, but kind of poppy and weird. Anyway, bizarre band, good stuff. Go check out Prick.
I'll check them out.
Good. The first record's good. But I did get to see Bowie in 97 and in 2001, one or two. So I saw Bowie twice. Thank God. Bowie's my favorite of all time. And I got to see him twice.
I was so ready to get tickets for whatever the Black Star tour was going to be. Little did I know.
Yeah. they well, yeah, I almost saw him. See, he basically quit touring. So I mean, there's a chance that he would have done. He quit touring in 2005. Might have been his last tour, and I almost got to see that show in Indy. They played the theater in Indianapolis, and I didn't go because I was broke and busy. And but anyway, Bowie was such a big deal to me that when he died, it hit me really hard, and I kind of refused to listen to Black Star because listening to Black Star is me accepting the fact that my favorite artist of all time is actually not around anymore. And but recently, within the last, I would say 6 months, I've been getting into Black Star, and it's freaking amazing.
Sometimes I listen to
really,
I can't give
really
everything
good.
away, and I get really upset. I think Bowie's one of those ones, like celebrity deaths don't affect me, but that one, still does. Like, can't listen to anything without feeling a little thing in my gut. So
yeah, it sucks. But I mean, on the other hand, like, we lived the same time that he did, and I mean, I wasn't around. I was born in 79, but I mean, just think about, like, that dude put out an album a year from 1969 to like 1981, including a couple live albums and a cover album, and they're all good. Like, you can kind of like one more than the other, or maybe some people don't like one specific one, but I mean, you're talking like the dude did like 15 albums in like 10 years, and they're all real good. And it's kind of crazy. Like, there's even some that I don't like so much. It's weird. Like, I'm not the biggest Young Americans fan. It's funny. Like, I really don't like a whole lot of his singles. I would say I like half of the singles. Half of them I don't ever listen to. The other half I absolutely love.
Yeah, I think that the same way.
But the albums as a whole, so like, I don't like the title track of Young Americans that much. It's cool. I get why people like it. I get why it's famous. But Fascination and Fame was a single. I love Fame. That song's great. But I'm not a big fan of the title track. So, Diamond Dogs is the same. I like Rebel Rebel, but I don't listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of like China Girl.
Yeah.
Nah, I like it, but I'm not crazy about it. Yeah.
But yeah, Bowie's fantastic. And so we I made a comment and then you made a comment. Were you talking about your holy grail of props would be Bowie's shoes or his jacket or something?
The outfit, yeah. That's the first thing that came to mind when he asked the question. I'm like, yeah, nothing else really. But for some reason, that outfit is iconic to me. Anytime I watch the movie, it kind of just stands out. Everybody else is wearing like gray muted tones, and Bowie walks in with this plain shirt.
Yeah,
so it's
which I always took his bright red shoes as like a Wizard of Oz reference. Like, he's been off in dreamland and now he's back and he's got the ruby slippers type thing. And that's another thing that keeps kind of coming up, the whole Wizard of Oz stuff.
You said you were, I think last time we talked on Cameron's channel, you said you were like looking for Lynch kind of saying directly that Wizard of Oz was an influence.
Yeah. Actually, any real, I know I found a couple, but he doesn't talk about his influences like at all. And that makes me mad. Like, can't you just say, he did say, like, that's the thing. It's like, you read article after article of he was influenced by these people. And this is like a theme that he goes with. And like, Vertigo constantly referenced. And then I found an interview of him and he's doing some Transcendental Meditation talk in Europe, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something, and they straight up asked him about it, and he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
It's like I like Hitchcock. He goes, "I like Rear Window a lot," which is cool because Rear Window's my favorite Hitchcock movie. Like Vertigo, like really? And he's like, "No, I like it, but not so much. Rear Window is more of an influence on me." But it's like literally Vertigo, the two women, like the theme of duality, like the whole thing, the guy going insane, Vertigo, the thing, like it's like you're seriously just gonna look in the camera and tell me that Vertigo is not an influence on your work? Yeah, that's what I said.
I can't tell if he's being cheeky or not. Like, I really can't tell with him.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'll say it to his face. Mark Frost is the king of that. Mark Frost is the king of that. He knows exactly what to say, what not to say, and how to frame stuff to deflect. It's like sometimes he will give people. I had a whole bunch of examples in my mind, but like people will be like, "Well, what do you think about this?" And he'll be like, "I think you're on the right track with that."
Oh yeah.
And then, but yeah, which is, I think that he'll be sincere about usually, and then he'll get asked something else. And then he will train like I don't know. But he's good at he's good at giving an answer, but still not answering. Right. But it's cool, but sometimes like in the Conversations with Mark Frost book that I just read, he what did he say? Oh, people would the author is referencing a blog, a poll taken or something by John Thorne or something. Basically, it was like, hey, a lot of the Twin Peaks fans that had problems with season 3, based on their answers, it seems that a lot of Twin Peaks fans, hardcore fans, would like to see something written by Mark Frost solely and directed by David Lynch solely that would force both of them to be more, I don't know what the context was, but basically it's kind of like, hey, when Lynch has parameters based on like, if you're writing it and it's like his, and that kind of keeps everything roped in, and then he can work within that framework and get crazy within that framework. And Frost said something like, it would be more politic for me not to answer that. So you could take that either way. Like some people are like, well, see, he thinks that that's true. He's just not going to say it because it's going to make David Lynch mad. And I think it's the opposite. I think that he doesn't want to say either way, because however he answers it, someone's going to run with it and create. If he's like, well, yeah, that'd be interesting, the headline would be Mark Frost says that he should be the writer and Lynch should be the director. Exactly. Right? Exactly. And then if sorry, I'll get some interesting chats here. I'm going to pull these up here in a second. But if he said no, if he answered like, no, I don't think that at all. I think that we did it the way we did it. I don't know. If he said no, it would contradict a lot of the stuff that he had already said about Lynch kind of having his own. I don't know. I think that however he answered it, it could be twisted into however people want to interpret it. So I think that he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that, because even if that was
smart on his.
Well, and then even if he agreed, also that would negate like the whole. Because the previous questions, like it was like, are you happy with the turn? He said, yeah. Are you like the way we wrote it? Like, They both wrote it. They both collaborated. While Lynch was shooting, he was writing the book, but they were together editing a lot. So apparently Frost was there 90% of the editing process, which I had no idea. I thought that was pretty cool. He didn't say 90%. He said as much as I could be there, as a lot. He was there a lot, supposedly. Okay. So I thought that was pretty cool. You just got a comment. Frost is a Illuminati. He says Frost is a theosophist. Is that correct? In his mind, we would be profane, and because he sees himself as illuminated, it is almost his duty to mess with us. Yeah. I don't know if he is a devout, but he is interested in that stuff. The idea of theosophy is that I don't know how exactly to explain it. Do you know much about it?
I'm not super familiar.
Basically, how there are basically like ancient beings or like ancient mystics that have passed down. It's kind of like the not ancient aliens, but like the humanity's knowledge is passed down to us like through secret societies and stuff, and how certain people are the keepers of the teachings of these ancient beings. So theosophy influenced Twin Peaks in the idea that maybe the giant or the firemen or something are these kind of ancient elevated beings that still communicate with us through whatever supernatural means. Yeah. So illuminate me if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm finishing up my next video, and when that video is done, I am going to take a hard turn, and everything I do probably for the next couple years is going to be dark, supernatural, occult based. My episodes, everything I've had lined up, I've been wanting to get to this point for a long time, but my next several episodes and little side videos I'm going to do are all the Jumping Man and Theosophy and Thelema and Aleister Crowley and Marjorie Cameron, and how all this crap ties to the nuclear bomb and the thing and whatever. And like, so anyway, that's where I'm going.
Get ready to be demonetized.
Why? Oh, because of that dude?
No, because of if you start going and doing cult stuff.
I thought because I got an F-bomb in the comment.
No, it's got nothing to do with it. So what's going on? Are you just inviting everybody on here or what?
Yeah, because we remember I messaged you, and so Cameron from Noxious Anonymous is the first one of us to start using StreamYard. And I think, right?
Well, thanks to YouTube cutting us off, yeah.
Cutting out.
Yes.
Hangouts, yeah.
So right when I was about to start doing live chats, YouTube said, YouTube gutted their own platform to allow you to do simul chats and things like that. It was ridiculous. So Cameron is the one like, hey, I found this StreamYard, and you can do chats, you can do this, you can do that, you can pay a little extra, and you can put your own logo, and you can, So I've been watching him use this for a while, and I finally started messing around with it. And then today I was just like, hey, I'm gonna go live. And
this is better. This is better than YouTube's, because the idea that you can bring up the comments of the chatters like on your video really helps, because before you couldn't do that. You had to just, say it. And I like the fact, because this is without the audience, there is no show, right? So I like being able to highlight their comments as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so real back to the chat real quick. Illuminati says ancient knowledge. If you ever heard of Gnostics, Dweller on the Threshold stuff comes from Theosophy, I believe. So he references alchemy and Hermeticism. So there's the Hermetic systems of rituals. So you've got the Golden Dawn, and then Aleister Crowley and Thelema. And so you're talking like late 1800s, early 1900s, these new philosophy. I can't remember who started, but like the church or the teachings of theosophy were started by, I can't remember the name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so I've been reading up a lot of this, and I'm a huge fan of The Killing Joke, which is this band. They're my favorite band. And I am trying to get, I've already interviewed this guy when they came to town, but the lead singer of The Killing Joke is a intense, I would say, scholar of these Hermetic systems. So the Golden Dawn and Crowley's Thelema and Theosophy and all this stuff ties into Twin Peaks, sort of. And so I'm trying to get I'm working on getting an interview with Jaz Coleman to do some deep dives into these religious systems and occult theories and things that are, it's okay if they get demonetized, Cameron.
I joke.
I'll do like 1 or 2 videos or whatever, and if they get demonetized.
No, but that's the best part about Patreon is that you don't, if enough people support your Patreon, then you don't have to monetize your YouTube videos because, but one guest you may want to look into getting, which would really blow up your channel even more, is interview Damien Eccles from the Paradise Lost documentary. He's out of prison, but he knows a lot about this stuff.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. He's on my list. So actually, my list, I made it like a dream list of if I'm going to do an occult studies. And what would be cool is I think that, like, because my show is Twin Peaks channel is all Twin Peaks stuff, like I could peg it like Dweller on the Threshold is mentioned, in this episode, and it kind of has to do with this. But like I could peg it to Twin Peaks, but like everything that follows that is just like, okay, Mr. Eccles, tell me everything you know about this. And then we as Twin Peaks fans can like draw our own conclusions to whatever. But Jaz Coleman of The Killing Joke, Richard Stanley will be a good one. And
he's been on mine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was gonna message you and say, what's his email?
I don't have it because someone who used to post on my show knows him. So he's the one that arranged that, and he's the one that did the interview. I had nothing to do with it. He just sent me an interview and said, "Here you go."
Oh, okay, cool. I finally found your Jennifer Lynch interview.
Oh, really?
So I've been watching that.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was before The Return.
That was
5 years ago.
2013.
Oh, 7
years ago.
Yeah. My first question to her is, what do you think about these Marvel movies?
Yeah.
I was like going, okay, well, how do you break the ice with Jennifer Lynch, And so let's get her on the record. Let's get the Lynch family on the record about these Marvel movies. She had no idea that was coming. And it was just like, all of a sudden, you could just see like the defenses drop, and then she was like, whatever, let's do this.
Yeah. She's like, all right, this guy's all right. So I'm reading. She's got a decent interview in the Laura's Ghost book. So I actually just finished up her. You remember I told you the beginning of the book is kind of like interviews. Mm-hmm. So there's a Grace Zabriskie interview, Jennifer Lynch interview. There's like interviews. And then at the end of the book is their new essays. So Grace's essays at the end. And then Jennifer Lynch does a new take on writing The Secret Diary. So I haven't got there yet, but I've gone through the contents. And
if any of your viewers are interested, though, in my interview, it is still the longest video interview she's ever given.
Yeah, so Obnoxious and Anonymous, search that on YouTube. Search Obnoxious and Anonymous.
Just type in Jennifer Lynch, yeah.
Yeah, it should pop up.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. I caught her right at a time before she really started to get into directing television. So it was before that career boost. So she had some downtime, and I had actually met her at a convention when she was promoting Hiss before all hell broke loose on that production. So we had already met in that capacity. So when I touched base with her, it wasn't like I just was a random person out of the blue and she was like, okay, whatever. I mean, we already had some sort of communication beforehand. So she knew I wasn't a crazy person. So, but if there's a great moment in the interview where I said, what do you think about these like Twin Peaks pages that are like talking about bringing the show back and the show coming back? And she just takes a puff of her cigarette and goes, it's not happening. Right? And this is the year before the announcement.
Yeah.
And it's either she had no clue and kept her dad, and her dad kept her in the dark too, or she is one of the greatest actresses ever, because she would post on her Facebook page, season 3 is not happening, guys, get over it. You know, and then there's an announcement. So
I
you
bet
think she knew?
Yeah, based on the Frost book. I mean, you never know. All speculation, but Frost is specifically asked if people knew that the show was coming back, and he said, we told no one except like some people in our immediate family. So I guess that's up to how close Jennifer and David are. It could be it could be that, I mean, she's a professional. She's just working and busy, and like maybe they don't like to talk about work when they, you know what I mean? She may only talk to her dad like once every few months, and they talk about like
she's only the voice of Laura Palmer though in written form though. I mean, if it wasn't for her diary, you know, I think Twin Peaks would have exploded because of her. So
yeah. So my feeling is that I think at some point, if Frost and Lynch actually started kicking this around 2012, 2013, and the announcement was what, 2015, and you interviewed her in 2014.
No, 2013. June 2013.
June of 2013. So maybe they had just started.
Well, because there were the rumors. You remember this, right? Right. The reason why I even brought it up is because Ain't It Cool News had posted that NBC was looking to reboot Twin Peaks, and then that got negated.
Oh.
And then I was like, no, CBS is going to do it because of their affiliation with Paramount. And then that ended up getting, you know, put to rest as well. So I think she was responding to that, but I don't know. I mean, I can see David not telling her too, you know.
Yeah. I mean, because maybe by 2013, by mid 2013, he and Frost had only had a couple cups of coffee, and it was still completely up in the air. And they're just, I mean, that would have been.
She mentions in the interview that the next film that David is going to do is going to be mind blowing. Speculation at the time was that she was referring to the Antelope movie that he was working on. And she was getting ready to direct a movie with her dad in it as one of the stars. I bring that up to her because I said, your casting for this film looks very much like Repo the Genetic Opera. And she says, absolutely. And that, I mean, if you look at, I don't know if it's still up on IMDb, but that cast was out of control.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
the cast is crazy.
No, I mean, did you see the cast for her film though? I don't know if it's
Oh
still
no,
up.
sorry. I thought you were talking about the Genetic
No,
Opera.
but it was even wilder than Repo for her next film. And I was like talking to her about that. And so, I mean, obviously that didn't happen, and she became more or less a TV director, but honestly, good for her. Because I remember listening to this one interview with a filmmaker, and he had made a few films in the 80s, but then became predominantly a TV director. And the interviewer was saying, why did you become a TV director? And he goes, well, would you like to spend 3 years of your life trying to get financing for a film and then make it and then try to sell it? Or you can just walk into NBC and be handed 6 TV movies over the year and be a filmmaker.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, Jennifer Lynch might not be getting her stuff off the ground, but she's walking into these shows. She's able to be a filmmaker. And if she makes enough contacts, enough goodwill, guess what the network's going to do? They're going to come to her Do you have any ideas? Would you like to be executive producer on a
Yeah.
show? And then she's going to create a show. It's going to happen.
Exactly.
And I really do think that if there is a season 4, I maintain that she, Leslie Lincoln Glatter, Harley Payton, I think they're all going to come back in some capacity, even if it's just a one-off, just to help David and Mark out.
Yeah, I think, and I've been saying that when I first got a real like entertainment industry job, I was still, this isn't too long ago, but I was still kind of like, oh, I want to make movies and I want to do this, I want to do that. And my boss is like, she's like, dude, she's like, hey, she's like, I get it. I told you about this. I was kind of doing a fan film for this comic book and it kind of didn't work out, but I'm still kind of working on it, whatever. Anyway, my boss was just like, she was like, hey man, like, you know what filmmakers do 90% of the time? 90% of the time they're in board meetings, they're discussing financing, they're pitching idea after idea after idea that the even bigger money people don't want to hear. You know what I mean? Like they're selling their idea, they're selling their movie, they're pitching it, whatever. It's like, and then after like years of this crap, even if it finally gets greenlit, then you actually get to go do the shooting. Like production will begin, which is a nightmare. You're basically the boss of 400 people. And if it goes bad, it's your head on the chopping block. It's just like, she wasn't saying like, hey, don't make movies. She was just trying to be like, hey, just remember, like, it's not as glamorous as people think. Like, well, your pitch, and like you said, and you brought this up the other day about Jennifer Lynch, and I was like, yeah, dude, like people forget like this is a job. Like if I was a director, like a competent television or movie director, and it's like, hey, Walking Dead's going to pay you X amount of money to do an episode. And 6 months later, this person's going to pay you. And then Netflix is going to sign you for 3 episodes of this one show that they're working on. It may get put on TV. It may not. They may throw it away. It may not. But like people forget that like not everyone's Tom Cruise. Like people that work in the industry have bills to pay and people need like gaffers, lighting men, directors, like your directors are basic. Like unless you're Scorsese, you know, or Lynch or somebody who's got everything kind of on their own terms. Like people have jobs, they have to get work, you know.
And honestly, Jennifer Lynch right now has directed more things than some of our favorite filmmakers have. I mean, in the amount of hours of stuff that she's done. I once had a conversation with Don Coscarelli. Of course, we all know him from Phantasm and Bubba Hotep. And he once told me, he says, you want to know about the curse of being a filmmaker? I said, yeah, tell me. He goes, I'll go to producers and say, I want to tell this story. And they go, that's great. Here's $5 million. Make Phantasm 3. And then he goes, I want to make this movie. I have this passion project. I got all these actors lined up. That's great. Here's $5 million. Make Phantasm 4. And it's like, I can't get financing for what I want to do, but I can always get financing for a new Phantasm movie. Like, that is a blessing and a curse. It's like David Lynch right now, right? He could go and say, I want to do this. And the people will say no. And he could go, well, I want to do Twin Peaks. And they'll say yes. And then all he has to do is work in those ideas into the Twin Peaks universe and make that film anyway. But he just, I mean, I still maintain that season 3 of Twin Peaks, a lot of it are all these ideas that Frost and Lynch have been wanting to get off the ground and then figure out a way to weave them into the Twin Peaks universe.
Totally.
I mean, there's so much Ronnie Rocket in that, in that story. Sure. You know, which is people criticize that. I think that's brilliant. You know what I mean? It's like they got away with it.
Yeah. And you got to do what you can. And like, oh, so we got. I'll throw this to Joey. Maybe he can recap this. So, what was the deal? This Illumi Not Me is saying, what was the deal with the buzz like within the last year about Kyle tweeting and coffee and donuts? So like. You know, can you explain like briefly what basically we don't know nothing. No one knows nothing.
Yeah.
Like there could be season 4, there couldn't be. Kyle has tweeted some stuff, but it's turning into a game at this point that me and Joey and Cameron ain't biting on anymore.
No. I wouldn't take anything that's on the Kyle Twitter page as some sort of just slight nod towards maybe like a season 4. I'm pretty sure he has a person that runs the social media primarily. So they're just, putting up Twin Peaks stuff to keep everybody engaged. Because
do you
that's his
remember
primary
that
audience?
Joey? Do you ever see the movie Soap Dish?
I don't think so.
So there's a great moment where Whoopi Goldberg takes Sally Field to the mall and starts going, "It's Celeste, it's Celeste," and everyone like runs to her and gets an autograph, and it's like how to cheer up an actress that feels sorry for herself. I really feel like Kyle MacLachlan, before he is going to post something about his Pursued by Bear wine, goes, "Let me just throw up a Twin Peaks post and get everyone engaged, and then I can throw out something else." I think it's just all publicity.
No, that's a thing. And it's in marketing books and like social media marketing classes. They tell you to like put up like a thing before you go for the ask. So you're going to put up a Twin Peaks thing, get people engaged, and say, "Hey, check out my wine," so that people are there and they're looking at your stuff. And then you go and buy some wine, which is it's a good wine. I had it. It's a good wine, but that's what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, is that a bad thing? No, you just have to be aware of what it is and not run a story every time he puts up a picture on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the thing is that all of us got excited last year when the stars seemed to be lining up. So you've got these kind of the Hollywood Horror Museum, who probably rub elbows with some famous people, said, "Hey guys, maybe something Twin Peaks is happening." And then you had like small actors or smaller Hawk, Michael Horace, who plays Tommy Hawk Hill, said he's posting kind of cryptic stuff on Instagram. And so it seemed like something was and Lynch was recently in Snoqualmie and he was at the Salish Lodge.
No, Peter Deming was.
Peter Deming was, but Lynch tweeted something like, "God, I had a great time shooting in Snoqualmie." And so
it was because of the restaurant.
happened within like 2 weeks. Huh?
No, because the diner was they had created some new things where businesses can make more commercials and more filming can be done in that area, and they signed the paperwork at Tweeds, and so Lynch was giving out his like, "Yes, I fully endorse this," blah blah blah. But the thing that got me was when 2 executive producers I know that work in Hollywood right now and have won multiple Emmys, they came to me and said, "Well, you know what we're hearing? We're hearing they're gonna do a movie and season 4 and 5." And I said, season 4 and 5. They said, no, they want to do like 18 episodes, but cut it up into 9 and have it be 4 and 5 with a movie in between. And I'm like, they're like, that's what we're hearing. Now, who knows if that's what was happening? Who knows? I don't know what, I mean, I don't.
I think if it does come back, I think that's what happens. Still,
I honestly think there is too much to say that nothing was happening. Something was happening. But we don't know what that could be. And with this pandemic, everything's out the window anyway. So
exactly. So Illuminati, that's the thing. Like, we all got excited last year because a bunch of crap was happening at the same time. But since then, we've got a pandemic, and that's it. And
hey, be thankful I even completed shooting on my film. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And But now, like, Joey's absolutely right, 100% right. If Kyle MacLachlan tweets out a picture of a donut with a cup of coffee, then it doesn't mean anything.
It's just social media.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's the thing. If things are, and Cameron also heard from somebody that they were going to recut part of season 3, or like turn season 3 into a theatrical event, was on the table at one point, right?
So I'm gonna say something, because how many people are watching right now?
18.
All right. I don't think people are gonna report this. I heard that from someone who works at Variety.
Oh wow.
Why would somebody that works for that publication tell me that Lynch was recutting season 3 into a feature film version of it? Even I don't know if it was going to be changed or what it was going to be, but they just said, we heard he's going to do a recut of it for a Fathom Events type of one night thing. Well, that didn't happen either. But remember, Sabrina Sutherland in 2015 told the UK Twin Peaks Festival that Lynch is recutting Fire Walk with Me into a new version. We haven't seen that either. I think that whatever's happening, it's all going to happen at once. we're gonna get like probably like 6 months straight of Twin Peaks content, a Mark Frost book, a Fire Walk with Me recut, a new season 3, all in a row. Boom, 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 boom. You know, the Sherilyn Fenn Chronicle books or whatever that's gonna be.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't want any of that stuff. I don't need any of that stuff. But if it happens, I'm here for it. I'll read a Sherilyn Fenn book. I'll watch a. I would like to see a recut Fire Walk with Me with the ending being Cooper coming and taking her away, because in a weird, messed up way, the movie, especially with the missing pieces cut in, like, if Cooper's really the mystery man that's in her dreams that's trying to help her, it makes sense that he would show up at the end and take her away. That makes sense. It would kind of work if they recut the movie that way.
And they already established that. They already established that in episode 16 in season 2 when Donna gets the
note.
Well, yeah, the page from the diary
page. Yeah.
Right, which Hawk never accounts for, by the way, when they do the tally of the diary pages, which really irks me. But she does say in 17 of season 3, you know, you're the one from my dream. So they do acknowledge the fact that she had met Cooper before in the dream the night before.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd go to the movie, assuming if COVID's not still around, I'd go to the movie theater. I would see Fire Walk with Me with a different ending. I think that would be rad. It'd be super fun. I would buy another Criterion Blu-ray of a stupid movie with a different ending. I would love that. That would be great.
Can I make one recommendation? I want at least one cameo by Richard Beamer in it. Just stick him in there, please.
Somehow,
even if it's in the end of a phone call or something, you know, I would love it. But yeah, no, I don't want another copy of Fire Walk with Me, but I would get that version absolutely, you know, because I would love to see what Lynch would do with it, and I hope he wouldn't just stick the missing pieces. I hope he would just go bat crazy with it.
Yep, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, it'd be rad. I found I don't know if you saw me talking with Steven earlier, but I was doing some editing. I had a freeze frame on Laura's desk in her bedroom in Fire Walk with Me, and there's a book sitting on her desk, and it was just one of those, like, can I make out what book that is? Like, you know, go in and zoom in and try to read. But I did one of those like prop deep dives. So next thing I know, it's like 2 hours later, and like I found the book and the edition and whatever, and there's this postcard sitting on top of the book, and I realized, like, basically it's a motor skills learning book, and on top of it's a postcard, but it's kind of got this like white, like an edge to it, so it's actually like a greeting card. So like I've got this whole theory that it's like a thank you card from the Horns for teaching Johnny, because it's a motor skills education book. And I found the edition, and I found the artwork from this postcard, and anyway, I'm real proud of myself because I spent 2 hours on some stupid shit. But it was cool. So I know it's not stupid. Like, no, it's cool. Like, I put this all together, and I'm like, okay, what's the point of that? I said, what do I do? And I was like, what am I going to use this for? Nothing. And I was like, well, I'll give it to Steven because he actually uses it. So I'm into that. Like, it was a perfect idea. I was like, all right. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, if you do a blog post about Laura's bedroom, I found out what book that is on her desk.
You know what's really funny is that you mentioned that. I never even noticed the book on her desk. So, you know,
well, because it's right underneath her dipping into the cocaine bag.
I just love the fact that her bedroom has like 20,000 lamps in it. I mean, if you see the wide shot, you can't even believe how many lamps are in that room. No person on planet Earth has a room with that many lamps in it. And then you compare that to the real room in the Palmer house from the pilot, and that real room looks nothing like the constructed set in Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah, you got the alcove and and it's deeper. And so we got another guest, Patrick from Talking Backwards is here.
What's up, guys?
So
How's it going?
Happy to be here. I've been trying to put my kids to bed for an hour, and I didn't think you guys would still be on. So it's very impressive. This has been going on like what, 2 hours?
Yeah,
I think.
I was gonna ask. I was like, were you still? Because you messaged me on Twitter. I was like, oh, maybe he's still at work or something. But
No, yeah, it's just been usually. I mean, I get them in bed like a half hour ago, and of course, like tonight, it's like, well, it's one of those nights. It's all good. So, and I hopped in here, like I tried to get in like 10 minutes ago, and then my son just started yelling for me again. And I was like, all right, never mind. So I'm good now. I got a drink. I'm ready to announce that Twin Peaks may or may not be coming back. That's the breaking news I just got. So,
well, I am thrilled the fact that you are doing a complete deep dive, I shall say, into James Hurley. I've never seen anybody go so. Since Jeremiah put out his
James video,
and then I mean, now look, back before Twin Peaks was a thing again, on my channel, we talked so much James Hurley because everyone was crapping all over James Hurley that we finally got James Marshall's attention. He came on our show.
Nice.
But he was like saying, thank you for not trashing James Hurley.
Yeah.
And so that made us, of course, it makes everyone happy when Machen says James has always been cool, because it's like that is a direct statement to all the Twin Peaks pages,
to all the haters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we had to make a video. We did a over the summer, we did a Fire Walk with Me, like a live stream, just with whoever wanted to join. And it was the scene when he pulls up on the motorcycle in front of Laura's house. And it just came to me. I was just like, oh, he's about to ride into the Jameser zone. And it just like the light bulb went off, and I was like, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to make this a thing. So I just recorded the little song over just a karaoke Danger Zone instrumental. So it's highway to the Jameser zone. Gonna get on my bike and go to the Jameser zone. Just a quick jingle. So
I know,
but
you got merchandise for this.
We got
too?
The merch. We did. My buddy,
really?
My buddy did a Top Gun logo parody of Jameser zone with the little outline of his head, like the forehead. From like the pilot is at the bottom of the logo. It's on our social media pages if you want to check it out. I thought it was hilarious.
Now, see, if Showtime had a sense of humor, like that's the kind of merch they should have in their store,
right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can submit it, but we had to do it. It was too funny. I love making little things like that, slight little parodies, because we did another, I think, actually no, the other one we did, I don't know if it's as funny. I thought it was great. We did a whole play on the Dare, like keep kids off drugs logo, but with Dare, like Eric Dare.
Yeah.
So like the A and the E are lower, and then I just used his quote from Fire Walk with Me, when he's still after he's scrubbing the floors. And he's just like, oh, you got to have a good attitude. That's the key. So that's like the small text under the Dare logo. So just like little things like that. I'm just like, this is funny to me. I hope someone else enjoys it. So, yeah.
That line always cracks me up. You got to have a good attitude. That's the key.
It's the delivery. It's just fantastic. Very, very underrated moment for me in that movie. But the Jameser zone thing, I mean, I don't know. I've never had, oh, there it is. Jameser zone.
Bam.
You can get it in any color you like. And I think you can get face masks, stickers too on the TeePublic page.
My goodness.
whatever you want to do to rep James Hurley. No, I mean, I've always had fun, but poking fun in the nicest way. I mean, it's an easy character to, with some of the dialogue and stuff. I can't speak for the other guys. I know Tyler's not on our show, is not a big James fan. But we do. I mean, something we started when we started doing season 2 on our podcast was we started rating all the episodes on a scale of 1 to 5 James Hurley foreheads, and that was based on the forehead meme. And that's not even just like, oh, he's got a large forehead. I'm not poking fun at anyone for I've got a large forehead. So I just thought it was just something funny that we just took and made it a thing. Because I mean, someone on Etsy is selling the James Hurley forehead bookmarks, like, and it's pictured with the Secret History book. It's just like a massive forehead bookmark, and it's a drawing. Like, it's really great. So it's like, and I mean, I've tagged James. I think on our Instagram, I think I've tagged James Marshall and the stuff. I mean, who knows if. I know he's not super active on the social media, so I wouldn't know if he's seen it, but I hope he's not just like, oh God, here we go. Like, what is the Jameser zone? He's like blocked us.
Jeremiah, do you mind blowing me up more so people can see this picture?
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Blow them up.
There you go. I just want, because you're mentioning the stuff like that, I just want the viewers to realize, do you know how hard it was to get Laura Palmer's hair like that in my film?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That took forever and a day.
That's pretty great.
That's a sweet wig. Is it a wig or no?
That's what I was gonna say.
It's half and half, but it was to, they did a really great job matching it. So
yeah, that looks awesome.
Oh Lord. My advice for anyone out there who wants to make a Twin Peaks fan film: don't
do it.
And unless you can do it real quick, don't do it.
I can't do the James Hurley biopic.
No, please go for it. I'm just letting you know that it was supposed to take me 6 months and it took me 3 years. So
I'm gonna do a film about, let's see, we'll say the year is, we'll say 2000, and James Hurley is teaching a young Wally Brando how to ride a motorcycle.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
I always want to see Wally Brando with Shia LaBeouf's opening scene in Kingdom of Crystal Skull, like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So what is this? The making of the Social Network soundtrack?
Yeah, this is the father and son.
This is
powerful image.
The Watchmen.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. So apparently Lynch told Trent that he needs to do this and that, like he did with Angelo Badalamenti, and Trent said, "I don't work that way."
No, so that was my tweet. So
that was you?
Yeah, that was my tweet. So I don't think there was anything salty in there. What's your Facebook page? Queen of Hearts, facebook.com/Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Queen of Hearts fan film or /Queen of Hearts?
Oh, it's a private group, but anyone can join it. It's just
I thought you had a page.
I do have a page, but it's a group.
Okay. Anyway.
Just search Queen of Hearts Twin Peaks fan film on Facebook. It'll come up.
Okay.
I feel bad. I'm the only one in here that doesn't have my DVD collection posed behind me. I literally found like the quiet. Well, because I usually am I'm downstairs, and my wife was cleaning up, and so I was like, I'm gonna go find the quietest corner of the house to go talk Twin Peaks. We are talking about Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah.
We're always talking about Twin Peaks.
Exactly.
What else is there?
No, I did pick up a Red Shoe Diaries episode with Cheryl Lee and David Duchovny. I got that off Amazon. I haven't watched it yet, but Cheryl Lee and the Red Shoe Diaries. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'm misremembering all the details, but I saw this picture online, and I remember. I believe it's the Rolling Stone interview, and it's Lynch and Reznor. They were both on the cover, and they were talking about Lost Highway. And I don't think there was anything crappy in there with Trent, but like David did, like, okay, so we're gonna work on the music, right? So like, let's sit down and so Trent's a piano player, like classically trained piano player. So I believe that, and it's Trent telling the story. Trent says that he sat down and Lynch was kind of instructing him, like, okay, so I'm thinking like this kind of a mood, and I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking this, and Trent's kind of like, I got real nervous because that's not how I write, and that's not how I mean, Trent's like a kind of my understanding, geeky programmer guy. Like, he probably starts with a sample or a lyric, or this or that, and picks up a guitar and then maybe messes around for like a long time. And then like eventually after a while, he has a song, you know, but like, you know, and he's a classically trained, like he knows what he's doing, but I don't think that Trent sits down and just composes on the fly. I don't think that he's ever been that way. I could be wrong now,
Yeah.
30 years ago, but well, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you know, Danny,
the rock star that became a composer.
A composer.
Yeah.
The thing is that when I read that article, I pictured Lynch sitting on the stool like he does with Angelo, and he's like, I'm thinking the wind. It's the wind in the woods, and it's whispering through the trees, and there's a girl, and she's walking, and Angelo's just like
That clip was so good.
plinking out the most beautiful crap you've ever heard that he's just kind of making up. And then David tweaks like, no, like not so fast or not so sad. Let's keep it happy for now. And then he shifts the key a little bit and it's more frolicky or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's how they work. And that's how they still work. That's how they work on same with Mulholland Drive. As far as what I've read and seen in interviews and stuff, that's how they work. It's a collaborative back and forth. And Angelo composes on the spot. It's very intuitive, and they've got this kind of like symbiotic thing going on. And I picture Trent sitting down. He's like, well, here's my synthesizer, my drum machine, and my this and my that. And Lynch is like, scary, make it happen. And Trent's like, it's not how I. This is not how I
It does make you wonder, huh? Like if Lynch had never met Angelo Badalamenti, if Blue Velvet had just been Shostakovich music and the way of the siren, or whatever that song is, there is no Twin Peaks, there is no Fire Walk with Me, there's none of this because Twin Peaks, as great as it is, the music is part of it. Without the music, there is no series.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
it's because music is, I mean, that's like its own character in the show.
So much so that everyone missed it during season 3.
Right.
Exactly. That's the big thing is where the hell was all the music?
Well, it's because Showtime did that commercial showing Angelo and, you know, what is this? Oh, you have the black Facebook. Okay. I was like, this looks sleek. Who made this?
Facebook dark mode.
Oh
dark
no!
mode, baby.
Don't even show that date. That date's not happening.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see my post?
No.
Oh, that's my Annie. Well, that's not her in the movie. That's just her taking a picture of herself. Someone wrote me that they said, "Is this how you dressed Annie in the film?" I said, "Yeah, when she's running One-Eyed Jacks."
How is Annie?
She's mighty okay.
Right.
She's okay.
Good to hear. She's okay.
She's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. I just think it's so fun. It's like
I teased her though. I said, "Are you channeling your Rebecca Del Rio? What is up with this dress?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's true.
And I always thought that the Annie, how's Annie? This is circa Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal era, by the way, which is Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Annie, are you okay? So like, I don't know. I just always thought it was funny. So when everyone's like, how's Annie? How's Annie? When I finally saw that final episode, I'm like, we all know she's okay.
Right.
What's the deal?
Never been able to listen to Smooth Criminal the same way.
What pictures are you looking for, Jeremiah? Or are you just scrolling through?
Oh, I'm just scrolling, just seeing what we got. Oh, these are the license.
Yeah,
plates.
we didn't get to use the license plates, unfortunately.
It's still cool. You got them though.
Yeah. Wyndham Earl driving around with the BTK license plate, I thought was going to be perfect. So.
Yeah, that's
had
great.
some other. That's your Earl.
That's Wyndham Earl. Yeah.
Graceland event being canceled. That's hilarious.
Well, he wanted his free spaghetti, and he didn't get it.
Okay,
So the bottom, I saw the top 8 pictures I saw on Twitter. I think Dr. Hogg posted those, but the bottom 2 are where I shot a scene in my film, and then it's the mission in Vertigo. So I was saying that my film also ties into Vertigo as well.
Nice.
Which,
That's cool.
again, the film that everybody knows is Lynch's biggest influence, that he doesn't admit that it's an influence on him. But
I think if you look at Vertigo, Kubrick's Lolita, you know,
she's like, oh man, you could take any still out of Vertigo and be like, oh, this is like Mulholland Drive. Oh, this is like Lost Highway. Oh, this is like this. Then they're like, Mr. Lynch, can you tell us how Vertigo was an influence on your films? Not a big influence. I like Rear Window, not so
Just
much
like,
Vertigo. You're like,
Yeah.
Madeline, Ferguson, Judy, like all these names coming out of the movie, right?
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
We tease, you know, between Vertigo and Laura, which is a film about where Waldo Lydecker is the killer in Laura, you know. It's
Yep.
ridiculous, you know.
Waldo Lydecker.
You should.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is too is that the Frost book, like, I mean, you never know where the lines are drawn or whatever, but like, just a lot of that stuff is Frost. Is all I'm saying. So like, you're thinking there's things like when you're looking at Twin Peaks, it's tough to know whether or not it was a Lynch thing or a Frost thing. The other thing, though, the only thing that Lynch has said that I think is cool that I have not seen that I'm going to dive into is Sunset Boulevard. So that's actually used in The Return, and he references it all the time. And I know that he likes that movie and talks about it all the time. And that's your kind of Hollywood death story, you know, like that's one that you can honestly say, like, yeah, we know for a fact that this was an influence on him because he said that, and he's actually used a clip of it in the show and all that. So
he's referenced it ever since Mulholland Drive. I mean, he's been referencing that movie for decades.
That's where Gordon Cole comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even way back to the original series, like
if you go to photos, you'll be able to probably see everything, and then you can click whatever. It's probably media. Yeah.
Media.
Nice.
But go down to that black and white one next to Cooper on fire, and I mean, there's our red room with Annie and Cooper, and yeah, that was very difficult.
Yeah, it's crazy looking.
Yeah, this is gonna be unlike anything anybody has ever seen. So I found this coffee cup. Go back to that coffee cup with Cooper as a dog next to a girl named Annie on a pier.
It's perfect.
Got some trees and 2 mountains.
Yeah, with the mountains too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, who the hell made this cup?
That's hilarious.
That is cool. I like that.
I mean, that's just too coincidental. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
some.
Oh, the aquarium shot. Oh, those are little.
Oh, where is the aquarium? Did I miss it?
Let's scroll down a little bit. You have to understand, I post like 3 times a day on this page, so just kind of. Oh no, go back up real quick. Just go above Annie in the bed, and go up. There's Dido. There's the Dido in my film.
Nice.
Nice.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else is here. I don't even know. I don't remember what I posted half the time.
This is Caroline.
That's Caroline. Yeah. And let's see. Oh, go back up real quick. Just a little more. Keep going a little more. Past the words. There you go, right there. The one black and white right there with the nurse.
Oh yeah.
So there's the firewalk
There's
with
the nurse.
missing pieces. So we got to shoot in a real hospital before COVID. So thank God we finished before. This is
great.
this. Oh yeah, but there's the previous shot of Annie with the gun. That's Annie at one point goes on a Ms. 45 Abel Ferrara violent streak in this movie. So. I think someone in the comments was just like, "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" Yes, she goes on a murder spree in this movie. I assure you. So,
I saw an interesting. Was it Vincent Gallo talking about Abel Ferrara? Did you see that? This I saw.
If you go up just a little, there's the aquarium. Yeah, there's the aquarium.
Yeah,
there's Cooper and Carolyn on a date.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
It's very much for you old school cinema fans. It's very much Woody Allen and Diane Keaton in Manhattan when they're at the observatory.
Mm-hmm.
see that?
But if you go up just oh yeah, there they are looking at the penguins because he has to tell that penguin joke, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
again, then there's Annie at if you click on that. If you want to click on that, yeah, there's Annie at Jack Rabbit's Palace.
Wow. This will be a 2021 release, Cameron.
Yeah, it better be. I'm editing right now, and it's just that we have to do a lot of post-production sound and all that kind of stuff. And with COVID and people's schedules, and it's just hard to get everything together.
Gotcha.
But I'm almost there. I'm about a week's out from having the rough cut done. So it's been a long journey. But Joey's been with me from the very beginning.
Nice.
Joey, what do you think? Do you think it'd be fun to do that? Oh, it sounds like a blast. Yeah.
Hey, I was just a supportive friend. I didn't tell you to do this.
No. But if I had known what I know now, I don't know if I would have gone through with it. But I'm happy I did because I think Twin Peaks fans are gonna really have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I'm a real friend, Joey. I told him not to do it. I didn't say don't. I'm joking. I didn't say don't do it. He was already doing it when we met, and then I basically was like, I read the script, and I'm like, this is bigger than anyone I've ever known has ever attempted, and you might consider scaling it down a bit.
Yeah, I haven't read the script yet. Maybe if I had read the script, I would have said the same thing.
I only had to scale down one thing, and that was because of the pandemic.
Right, exactly.
I lost 3 locations because of the pandemic, and one sequence had to be left not even done because of that. So I had to write another scene to have that part make sense. But if it wasn't for the pandemic, it all would have been done. So
yeah.
So at least I can go to bed at night thinking I'm not a failure.
You can.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so I'm probably gonna have to wrap this up here in a second, but Patrick, you guys, what? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I do like your story though that you took some time off the internet for a while, and then you came back, and I was almost done with the film.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you did it! Holy crap! Patrick, what do you guys? You've just done. I was just on your podcast, and we did the Secret History, and then last time we talked, you guys have started the Return. So, are you recording the podcast? New ones?
Not so. Yeah. So basically, I mean, shortly after we recorded our Secret History episodes with you, we jumped right into the Return. We got the first 4 parts recorded, but some stuff's come up that's going to kind of delay us from getting to record anytime remotely soon. So we're kind of putting it off, which I think is probably a good thing. Let's just take also just a little break because we were just going. I mean, we literally started when we started doing season 2 at the beginning, because we've been going episode by episode for anyone who may not be familiar with the podcast, but we started season 2 at the very beginning of the year, and we've only taken a few short breaks, which was like right after season 2 and right after Fire Walk with Me. So we decided to go ahead and we just launched the Patreon to kind of help get things going and get things moving again. And we're going to be recording probably those episodes in, I don't know, I hate to put a date on it, but we're going to get them out. What our plan now is to get those first 4 parts out in January, just to start the year fresh. But we are going to release those 4 episodes that we've already done early to the Patreon subscribers. That's kind of our goal right now. We do have a couple of other random episodes that I'm trying to get kind of worked out to hold anyone over until then, but I don't want to speak too soon on any of it. But that's kind of what's going on with us. It probably sounds messier than it actually is, but I think we've got to figure it out.
No, that's cool. I can't wait for you guys' take on the return. That'll be cool to hear.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for people here, especially for anyone who's followed along with us and with, because one of my co-hosts, Tyler, he's never watched Twin Peaks. He's been watching it week to week for the last year, and his takes are always the most interesting. So I'm excited for you all to hear what he thinks about the return. So
did you want to give him a break in between the series and the return? Because I think part of the return's power is having some sort of a spatial break in between.
I agree. I mean, I think he was also a little anxious to start it. I think the curiosity of it being so long after everything kind of piqued his interest. But I agree with you.
I don't think we'll have to take a 25-year break, but I think
right.
Maybe.
Yeah. But we are, we're excited to keep moving. There's a lot of stuff I'm excited for him to see and see what he thinks. As you all know, you all have seen the return, so. But he doesn't know anything. So that's exciting. That's what's exciting. I mean, that was what was exciting for all of us. I mean, I assume you all watched it, when it aired week to week. Oh yeah, there it is.
This is it.
Red Shoe Diaries.
It's Red Shoe Diaries Auto Erotica. It's called. This is the episode. Auto Erotica. So I guess Twin Peaks meets Crash.
So we're gonna do an episode on that because we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to hear what we've got cooked up. We've got a few new segments that we're introducing to, and so we've been working hard on just getting everything going. It was just funny because we started this kind of for fun, and then it's just sort of spitballed. So it's been fun.
So you're a relatively new podcast. Joey and I have been doing these Twin Peaks videos for years. We don't even merch, okay? So you're way ahead of us.
The idea is just start flowing. I don't know. I have like I said with the James Zone thing, I just happen to have a buddy who's good at, just doing some graphic design. And what's funny about him is he hasn't even seen it. He's like, Twin Peaks is on my list. Like, I'll get to it. I'm just like, just trust me. Here's a picture of this guy. Yeah, I understand. He rides a motorcycle. Just Top Gun. You got it. So, who knows? Who knows what? I mean, I feel, and we've got a few more ideas, but these are just these things that are just, technically, I guess they're inside jokes with the show, but I mean, they work. It's silly stuff, but I love it. And I love the show, and it's been fun. I mean, I know there's a million Twin Peaks podcasts, and I try not to really listen to. I don't want to sound like any of the others, so I really try not to listen to anything when we're at all, so I don't know. We're just having fun, and it's surprised us that anyone's listened. So,
well, everybody's always looking for new content, believe me.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. It's been, like I said, the community, it just seems great. And I've just been, I pretty much manage the Twitter page because, well, also my other co-host Dave hasn't seen all of the return yet. And obviously the accounts we follow is Spoiler City. So I'm the only one that can be trusted with handling that. So, yeah. So if you see anything on there, it's all me just messing around.
Joey, what are you up to? Well, we talked about your vacation.
A vacation to Maine to the Stephen King house.
Yeah.
So obviously you could check out the YouTube channel, Joey Pedros. There's a mishmash of entertainment news. I'll do Twin Peaks stuff sometimes now. But if you want some sort of fresh narrative, I'm also on a podcast called Rememorex Not a Test, which is based off a tabletop RPG that my friend made. It's a It's kind of a combination of like a Stranger Things and creepypasta kind of stuff. But it's an original narrative. If you guys are looking for something like that, it's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's creepy. It's all that stuff. So give that a shot.
Joey, can you explain something to me? How is it that you go to Maine, and while you're gone, UFOs start hovering over New Jersey? Did you see that story?
Yeah, it was a Goodyear blimp.
Oh, it was? Oh.
Yeah. It was a Goodyear blimp with a TV, with a screen on it.
Oh, okay.
People thought it was a UFO, yeah. Debunked.
Oh, damn. That's terrible.
Right on.
That would have been real.
Well,
if it was.
Yeah, UFOs. I mean, they actually did. The government confirmed UFOs, and no one gave a crap. So
Yeah.
Jeremiah, have you seen the fan edit to Firewalk with Me?
no.
Have you?
No.
Have you, Joey? You know?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, with the exception of the David Bowie sequence, they leave that intact as to what year it is in the theatrical cut, whereas in the script, obviously it was as Laura was walking to school. It then cut to David Bowie coming in. That's why he's talking about 1989 in that sequence. But one great thing about the fan edit, if you can get a hold of it, I think they sell it on eBay somewhere, illegally, of course, but still. And it's on Blu-ray, 1080p. It's fantastic, great sound and everything. They cut it to the script pretty much, right? So everything's in the proper order, which is why, thank God, they did, because Laura Palmer isn't wearing the same clothes twice in 1 week anymore like she does in the theatrical cut. Because when they show her on the staircase going, and you hear Bob going, "I will taste through your mouth," she's wearing the same clothes that she meets James out on the street. That you're talking about, that scene where he pulls up. That's what she wears. And if you notice in the missing pieces, when she goes back in the house and confronts her mom, that's when that scene happens. I will taste through your mouth is when she's on the staircase and she makes that big smile. So Lynch just took another take of that and stuck it in the theatrical cut of Fire Walk with Me at a certain point. But I like the fan edit because she only wears that damn outfit once now instead of twice. No teenage girl in 1992 wears the same clothes twice.
I've been putting it off finding it because I want to make my own. I want to make my own fan edit, and I'm going to scrub the 1 year later out of that, and I'm going to put the whole Bowie sequence in there. Yeah. I want to make it because the Return, the Secret History, Final Dossier, basically everything is retconned that to be 1989. The only thing that's not in that continuity anymore is the theatrical cut of Fire Walk with Me. So I want to make my own fan edit someday, and I'm going to recut it that way.
They did a great job, and they thankfully left out the Cooper Diane moment, because that's the worst moment of all Twin Peaks.
I know you hate that.
It's awful. It's awful.
My co-host Dave, I think it was on our Fire Walk with Me episode. I can't remember. Maybe it was Missing Pieces actually, but his idea was he wanted to do an edit. I'm not going to remember exactly what he said, but edit Fire Walk with Me into the show, like season 1 and 2, when things happen. I know not everything in the movie is mentioned in the show, but I was like, good luck. I know he's not going to do it, but I was like, good luck.
The movie retcons the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I got to get going. I got some stuff I got to do. I appreciate everybody coming on, and this has been super fun. I got to play around with my StreamYard stuff, and it looks super fun. I'm so happy. So thanks, Cameron, for giving me all these pointers on how to use this. It's like super easy, but I learn enough, like editing software, whatever. I learn enough to do what I need to do, and then I don't want to learn anything else. So when it's like, okay, now you got to learn this new thing, I'm like, oh God, all right, fine, whatever. So now I got this, and I'll be doing more chats and interviews and different stuff like that, and it should be fun. So
great. You know what that means? Cool. Joey's gonna blow us off the map on YouTube is what he's going to do. We should just toss in the Twin Peaks towel. We're done. That's
why we're not on YouTube. We heard about you guys. We're like, there's no competing. We'll stay away.
I'm still gonna not do. I won't do it. Well, to be fair, so I said this earlier, and I'll tell you guys again. So I'm going to interview Courtney Stalings about Laura's Ghost, and I was looking for something like Skype or WhatsApp or something. Like I wanted to do a video chat and record it and be able to go edit it and all of that stuff. And then I was like, well, maybe I can just do that through StreamYard. Then I'll have it on my platform if I want to do it live. But I had to find out if it had a record function. I talked to Cameron about that and all that stuff. So figure that out. So basically I'm going to do interviews offline using the same platform. And then I can do live if I want to. So, but anyway, so on that note.
All right, Mr. 150,000 views on your 3 days in Twin Peaks. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm going to go watch it again right now.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, fellas. Take it easy.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.